Steel boots stomping, crashing the floor. Two wild Yinzers kicking through the door. Loud like a jag-off at a pins game fight. Brace yourself, this ride ain't polite. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Rivers collide where the laughs always flow. Black and gold thunder everywhere they go. The madcap kings breaking every mold. With two Dum Yinzers, the stories don't get old. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 894 of the Two Dumb Yinzers. I want to say to everybody this morning, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Glad to see everybody. Glad to see everybody on the board. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome back to the show. It is hump day, everybody. Hump day. Yes. Welcome back to the show. We have a lot of things to get into today, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. It may have seemed like not a lot has happened since the last time we talked, but there's a handful of stuff here that we're going to get into that might open some eyes today. Again, heavy into the off season here. off season workload for the Steelers, if you will. Of course, trying to replace Coach Mike Tomlin and trying to get back on their feet. Ultimately, a lot of things are going to go down this offseason, of course, with the draft coming here to Pittsburgh in April. Tons of draft picks for the Steelers, a dozen of them to be exact. We have players that we could leverage. We have guys that make a lot of money that we may want to move around. A lot of things could happen this offseason, guys. It truly can. And I'm going to be honest with you, we might be surprised what we see come September when the NFL season does kick off again for the 2026 campaign. But good morning, good afternoon, wherever you be. Welcome back to the show. Let me say hi to everybody on the board this morning. I'm going to start right here. Yeah, Mike, what's up?
No, nothing. I was just clicking my mic on.
Okay. Let me go to the board. I'm going to start on the terrible board this morning here, or this afternoon, again, wherever you may be. Tyrone, my man. Song is fire. Yes, thank you, dude. Thank you. We appreciate that. Nickelback wanted to do it, but we told them no.
Damn straight we did. We said, get the fuck out of here.
Steeler Freak says Mike is frozen again. That's true. There he is. He's frozen once again.
Frozen in cryogenics like me and Walt Disney.
Tortilla, I saw Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy holding hands. I got some theories about this, guys, and we're going to get into that as well. Of course, McCarthy, Flores, and even Weaver in this week for some interviews, guys. So a lot of things to get into. Let me continue here on the board. Tortilla, stop it. Tyrone says, I do want to say good morning to Tyrone, Tortilla, John, Steeler Freak, Jollymon. What's up, Jollymon71? He says, hey, y'all. What's going on, brother? Always great seeing Jollymon on the terrible board. Brian, what's up, dude? Brian says this. Andrew Giannacco needs to be the next Steeler head coach, or at least the offensive coordinator. Good morning to Brian. Good afternoon, I guess would be for you. Miss Pittsburgh. Good afternoon, everybody. Here we go. Nice to see Miss Pittsburgh as always. Finchy says, what up, board? Aaron Jade with his famous "Here we go Steelers" with the Rockets. I love it. Always great seeing Aaron Jade on the board. And Tyrone, my man, the GOAT. What's up, bro? Always great seeing Tyrone. I cannot wait till the draft to see some of the guys from the board and people from the board coming to town. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, guys. Just a few months away. Nonetheless, we still have football in the meantime, as the NFL football season does continue, heading into the NFC and AFC championship games this weekend. This is championship weekend. That's everything that you're seeing on ESPN. So we're going to stay Steelers. We're going to do what we do, and we do what we do. We're going to do it right here today. Lindsay, always great seeing Lindsay on a terrible board. Welcome back to the show. Everybody, welcome back. Mike, how are you?
I'm good, brother. Just damn glad to be here.
All right, looking good. Stiff as always, I see. Just like the corpse, like a corpse you are.
Oh, like a corpse. I'm stiff, brother. I'm thinking about them lot lizards and all the head coaches, baby. That just makes me stiff.
Oh, there you go, everybody. Mike is stiff. Big Slim, what's up, brother? Good morning, Ryan. Chad, hope you're all enjoying your day. So far, so good. Big Slim. Always great seeing Big Slim. 20's on the terrible board. My man, Jolie Mon says this. I live 5 minutes from the draft clock. Nice. We'll have to meet up again. We're gonna try to get together with as many people as we can that know the show, and we're gonna have some fun. We'll have a lot of fun in April, guys, as the draft does come here. It won't be long now. It will not be long now, considering the season ends in February. So once the Super Bowl's over, won't be much time at all. We'll be making our way down to Pittsburgh, down to the North Shore, down to the draft clock, down to the draft. I don't even know what the situation. Of course, we've never been to one of these before. It's going to be all new for all of us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Tyrone says Lindsay 2490. JPJ and TJ Watt also. Lindsay giving the 2490 back, 9024 to be exact, guys. A lot of things to get into as our Steelers continue their search for the new head coach of their football team here in Pittsburgh. The black and gold looking for their fourth coach in the Super Bowl era. And one thing that is encouraging is this. There hasn't been a Super Bowl era Steeler coach that hasn't won a Super Bowl. Keep that in mind. It seemed like it's been a while since the last Super Bowl. I'm just saying, every coach that's been a coach in the Super Bowl era for us has won a Super Bowl. So maybe that means we might be knocking on the door sooner than later, hopefully with all these changes. And again, I think that everything that's going to go down this offseason may be some of the biggest moves in the history, certainly of the Super Bowl era, Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. So it's going to be a big. This is your football team. This is how it's transforming again as time, and it is changing, hopefully for the better. We have a lot of things we're going to get into today. Let me grab a couple more messages before I do that. Tyrone says, so Ryan, I saw last night James Harrison and Steelers released Patrick PQ. I think he leaked it on accident. Hope we will save $13 million. I don't know. Is that now? I heard there was comments made, and I heard some things were being said about he's a possibility of being released or traded or something, and I didn't see anything beyond that. So if that's true, I appreciate the information. We'll look into it. But I did see something similar, but it wasn't quite that. So I'm not sure. Lindsay said, there's Tater. What's up, Tater? What's up, Tater? He says, hey, Lindsay. Yinzer Joe, what's up, Yinzer? Always great seeing Yinzer Joe on the terrible board. My man, Tyrone says, Tater, she don't want to be on your couch, dude. He says your English Cleveland Brown couch is no good and probably smells like shit. She didn't say that, but you know what? We're all thinking it. Let's jump into some stuff here today. Today is the 34 years since the day that Bill Cowher was hired. 34 years ago today. So it is that time of year, guys. This is when Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl era have typically hired their coaches in the 20s of January. Again, Cowher, Noel, and Tomlin all at this particular time of year. I think this time is going to be a little bit longer because of the things going on around us, of course, with teams still participating in the playoffs. But this is the time of year that it has happened every time, certainly in the Super Bowl era for the Steelers, as Bill Cowher 34 years ago today was hired. I'll get a little bit more into that later on in the show. But we have a lot of things going on for this Pittsburgh Steelers team presently. and we're going to get into all that today, guys. I do want to start by saying these few things. Carson Bruner was named to the PFWA All-Rookie team. Carson Bruner on special teams, and I got to be honest with you, there was many times during the course of a game, on top of Skoranek and Meatwad and a couple other guys, I did catch myself a lot of times saying this. I caught myself saying that the Carson Bruner's all over the place. This guy's tough. He's a rookie. He's getting his name made on the special teams like a lot of guys do that come in who aren't top profile guys, not high picks, not blue chippers by any means. So this is how these kind of guys got to get it done. And Carson Bruner's off to a good start. Of course, the son of Mark Bruner, who was here on the Super Bowl team in 30 years ago, on the Super Bowl team that went on to play Dallas and Tempe, Arizona. His dad, Mark Bruner, was the tight end on that team, was a rookie as that year took place. When that year took place, a few other things here. A few other things before we do move on. Let me go here. Steelers, they did sign a couple more players to the reserve future contracts. they did sign Donico Slaughter, the defensive back. He is now in our reserve futures contract list. Also him, and offensive tackle Lorenzo Thompson also is on that particular list. The Denver Broncos heading into the playoffs, they do sign Steelers wide receiver. We just talked about Brandon Johnson the other day. They signed him off the practice squad. He will be on their team on this run for the Super Bowl that they're trying to make in Denver, which is going to be difficult again. It's never easy winning the big game with your quarterback one, because these games are very difficult games. It's to get into the Super Bowl. It's going to be almost impossible for a guy that hasn't taken a snap all season. Let's see if knowing the system is enough. We'll find out this weekend, guys, as the Broncos will be hosting New England to see who goes on to face the winner of the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams in the Super Bowl on February 8th. Should be really exciting. And the one team that I don't want to be in it is the one team that's looking, of course, they're coming out of the AFC. The Patriots, I'm sorry. And they have basically a clear path to the Super Bowl, and I hate it, but you got to like what you're seeing from those NFC teams, Seattle and Los Angeles. Hopefully, if that all plays out that way, they do take them down. Nobody wants to see New England win that number 7. Nobody. I mean, nobody. Let me grab a couple more messages. I'm going to go right here. Yinzer Joe, he says, which coaches got their second interview to some today too? Yes, absolutely. Get that. Just one sec. Tortilla says Tater makes love to his couch. Tater makes love to his couch. I can see it. I don't want to see it by any means. I want to eat today, but yes, I can see that happening. Let me grab a couple. All right, let's go here. So far, let me do this real quick before I say who we talked to. Let me tell you who the Browns didn't talk to. Tater, are you attentive? Are you attentive, Tater? Are you here? Can you hear me? Do you need my assistance, Tater? This one's for you. And I wasn't even going to say this, but I brought it in just for you because I knew you would be here. Tater taught Mike McDaniel withdrew his name from the Cleveland Browns head coaching search. He was due to be in Cleveland yesterday. He does a late call and says, you know what? I'm no longer interested in that job. So there you have it, Tater. Who says I don't do nothing for you? Huh? Come on. Look at this. Mike McDaniel, withdrew before even talking to the team. That's how bad things are in Cleveland, and everybody knows it. He withdrew his name from the head coaching search in Cleveland before he even talked to anybody yesterday.
He was like, F this. I want to go hang out in the West Coast with one of the Harbaughs and Justin Herbert. You can keep your poverty franchise.
How hilarious. But there's a few other things, though, here, guys. Some things that could affect us negatively. Hold on real quick here. Yinzer Joe says, McDaniel says, nah, only time I want to see Brown is in the bathroom. I laughed my ass off. Lindsay says he likes the Steelers here. He's here every day. Hey, you know what? That's what I'm thinking. Until I see otherwise, I can't say that he doesn't like the Steelers. I think he's one of these trolls over in Great Britain who just likes to mess around with us Americans. I think that's what's going on here. Mike,
I think he's secretly in love with you. That's just what I'm gathering.
Mike's trying to get some diversion started because he sees the next quote or the next comment here. The next comment says Penn State is the GOAT, Mike. There you go.
Cody, it's all about. I don't know why you always attack me with this Penn State thing. I've been a lifelong Indiana Hoosier fan.
And the thing about that is Penn State, I mean, they probably like goats out there, if you know what I mean. They like the little boys. They're out in the middle of the state between the two cities, not much out there. They might like goats, Cody. Yes.
It's not goats, it's dogs. Get it right, Ryan. We already had one professor get caught on the trail cams with his pet dog out there. Okay, we got.
I never heard that. I'm learning new things every day.
We talked about this on the show a couple years ago.
I've never heard that in my life.
Fun of me. You're trying to make fun of me about this Penn State thing. I don't know why you always bring up Penn State to me. Indiana Hoosiers, baby.
I don't ever remember that conversation. However, I do know this, that Brian Flores was in town yesterday. He did have his in-person interview. Mike McCarthy is in town today for his in-person interview. And Friday, Anthony Weaver, of course, the defensive coordinator from the Miami Dolphins, he's slated to be in town on Friday for an in-house interview. Just depending on what some of these guys want, I really think that we could hire a couple of these coaches, and I really think that this might be what they're planning on doing. Again, we have a whole entire coaching staff to fill. You got to keep that in mind. So let's just say, they bring in McCarthy, and everybody's like, oh, no, not McCarthy. There's a chance that he may be hired as a coordinator position or an assistant coach or Weaver or whoever the case may be. We don't know who's even going to be hired yet. But again, it seems that from what I'm hearing around town, this is the group of guys. Everybody that you've heard to this point, unless somebody sneaks in out of nowhere, it seems that this is going to be the group of guys that we're going to be choosing from. And again, we have a whole entire coaching staff to fill. So again, a lot going on. Brian Flores in town yesterday for his personal in-person interview. Today, Mike McCarthy. Friday, Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator from Miami. Things are happening. Nobody's sitting on their hands. That's a huge plus. But there's a lot of things we're going to get into today because let me look at this. Here's something interesting, guys. We're talking about all these people that we can bring in. Get this. Let me find my note right here. Andy Weidel. He is to interview with the Falcons for the assistant GM. For the GM position. Now, keep in mind, Andy Weidel is the assistant to Omar Khan. He's the assistant GM. Now, Atlanta, they're bringing Andy Weidel down to interview with them for their main GM job. Now, he's kind of the guy that you don't see. He does a lot of the pulling the strings. He knows it's him and Omar Khan are the brain trust of the group, believe me. And Andy Weidel was kind of working in a process of improving this team the same way that Philadelphia got built from the ground up, starting with interior line, working their way up to what they were when they started winning Super Bowls. And Andy Weidel, a big part. Again, you don't recognize the name, some of you, but a lot of you. But at the end of the day, he is the tag team partner. Again, the assistant GM to the GM, Omar Khan. Mike, he does have an interview. Let me see if I have the date. I don't have the date. No, I don't have the date. But Andy Weidel, Mike, is on his way to interview with the Falcons.
Yeah, that's a scary proposition, losing him. Learned under Howie Roseman out in Philly. Him and Omar Khan knew each other from their days with the Saints. Him and Omar Khan have a really good working relationship. Like he said, he helped orchestrate building the offensive defensive lines in Philly, redo it in here in Pittsburgh. It's going to be a huge loss if we lose him. And if I'm Rooney, I'm like, okay, what's it going to take to keep you here? Are we going to elevate you to co-GM, or how much money is it going to take? You don't want someone like of his talent to get out. But you know what? That's a good problem to have, though, is one of your guys leaving. That means that he's doing something right and highly regarded throughout the league. But I don't want to see him go. I like the work him and Omar Khan have been doing.
It seems like right now is like the worst possible time to lose that person, just because we are in such a rebuilding stage, if you will. It just seems very inopportunistic for us. If that plays out that way, of course, that would be a promotion for him, as now he is the assistant to the GM in Atlanta. They are interviewing him to be the GM himself, to be the big dog. So again, that's coming. We don't know what's happening. who knows again how that will affect everything internally, guys, while putting this all back together. But that is something that is going on now. Andy Weidl will be interviewing for that Atlanta Falcons GM job. A few other coach-related things going on here. I'm going to talk about Coach here in a couple seconds, a couple things that we learned about Coach over the past 24 hours, just some conversations that he had with players and things from players before he did leave it that I think are somewhat interesting here. But let me get you this right here, Mike. This is your guy. I know that you fight this guy constantly on Twitter, or you're constantly doing something. I don't know what's going on over there with the two of you. But Trey Essex, of course, the former Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman, he says this, we got to keep Pat Meyer, the offensive line coach, because the offensive line played at the highest level it has in years. Be it as it may, it's true. Mike, do you keep Pat Meyer, or do you go for somebody to start turning these boys into men?
It's funny coming from Trey Exit, someone who was like critical of Pat Myers throughout his entire tenure here. But you do see a development of this line, but the new coach is going to probably going to want to bring in someone that they know and bring them in as an offensive line coach. So, he might. I don't know. Let's try something new. If we're doing it away with everything else, might as well do away with him as well. Like I said, like the one guy that I would keep, maybe two, would be the D-line coach and running back coach. So those are the only two that I would keep. You can get them out of here. Let's bring in someone else. Let them bring in their whole new coaching staff. And it helps too, though, when you have guys of high pedigree. You have first round, second round picks that you're using, that you're developing. So, is it the players, is it the coach, is it the combination of? We don't know, but they did get better as year went on.
Let me ask you this, Mike.
But let's get someone else into, like you said, polish them off and get them to that next level.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost a tough decision in a way if you think about it, because this guy has kind of been there with this group. He knows this group. He knows the progress. He kind of got them where they're at. And if you bring somebody else in, they're kind of coming in on a fresh slate. Yes, they'll learn everything. These aren't stupid people. They're very, they know what they're doing, a lot of these guys. But again, one guy kind of got them where they were. Do you stick with the guy that got you there and roll with him? Or, again, you try to upgrade and hope and try to make the situation moving forward better than it was getting to that point? So to me, it's a tough question. I kind of agree with you in a sense. You're starting over from scratch in a sense. You're kind of doing your rebuild. I don't think you keep many of these guys around. I really don't. And again, it's a lot of these former Steeler players making these comments. We're going to get to more of those throughout the show here. But you start to see how fast they turn into homers once these kind of conversations start coming up. We're like, oh, we like this guy. He's from Pittsburgh. You're like, oh, that doesn't matter. This guy's good in the locker room, blah, blah, blah. And then when it gets time for things like this, you see how they turn into a homer. Oh, you know what? I really like him. Well, you bashed him for 4 straight years. So, you start to see how much of a homer the players actually become at that point. And that's just kind of where we're at now, unfortunately. But Pat Myers, that's in question, Mike, of course, for the line coach. And then also, again, Andy Weidl being interviewed by the Atlanta Falcons for their GM position. A couple more things here as far as the coach goes. We're going to get into a lot today, guys. Do hang out for a while. Stick around. There's a lot of stuff to get into. And then we'll get back on the board here shortly. A lot of things to get into today as we do talk about our Pittsburgh Steelers, a week and 2 days removed from the season. Of course, losing last Monday night to the Houston Texans 30-6 in the wild card round. We're here getting ready for the championship round and strongly heading into the offseason. Our Steelers are. So a lot of things, guys. Let me talk about just a couple more here about coach, and then I'm going to move on. We have a lot of things, guys. Let's talk about coaches. Let me talk about coaches, buddy. Arthur Smith, real quick. He is a candidate. Now, get this. This is why I told him to run, don't walk last week, okay? Remember last week, these guys were interested in his head coach. Those guys are interested. These guys are interested. So then he goes and does his Detroit Lions interview, and they changed their mind. Well, it was an interview. Of course, we didn't expect them to be hired. It wasn't a sure thing, guys. But here you go. Here's the new scoop on Arthur Smith. In case you're wondering, Arthur Smith is now a candidate for the Titans offensive coordinator position. I hit my wire. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So, yes, there you go, everybody. Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator position is now open. and it is being interviewed for Arthur Smith, guys. So there he is, head coach this, head coach that, offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. My ass, Arthur Smith appears to be heading back to Tennessee. I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying that he is up to be interviewed with the Tennessee Titans, Mike, where apparently the only place that he was successful as the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. Everywhere else, it wasn't that fantastic, in my opinion. Again, 7-10 seasons in a row in Atlanta as a head coach. And then the last 2 years of disaster of our offense he's seen here, guys, taking over from Matt Canada. Arthur Smith, guys, is now the candidate for the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, exactly where he started when they told us that he was a good pickup.
They have no wide receivers down there, so he's set, brother. He's walking into the ideal situation. He has no wide receiver. If I'm Cam Ward, I'm being the first ever second-year starting quarterback to go and trade my ass, please. Get me the fuck out of here. You get me Robert Salah and potentially Artie Smith with no fucking wide receivers. Trade me, please.
You know what? It is great. It's fantastic, as a matter of fact, just to see. Because I told him, Mike, and I didn't tell him personally, but I said right here on the show, I said, run, get there, sign up, run, do what you got to do. If you walk, you're not going to make it, son. This dude has been, in my opinion, terrible. He was good when he had Derrick Henry. Yes, I acknowledge that. And but again, he was also the offensive coordinator in that one magical season that the Tennessee Titans did have, and they made it to the AFC Championship game, blah, blah, blah. At any point, can we stop talking about that? But again, he is a candidate to head back to the position that he left to improve his life. He's heading back, Mike. Welcome back, Cotter. Welcome back.
And he made B. John Robinson look like a seventh round running back when he the 2 years he had him there, and didn't use him properly. Artie Smith, Cam Ward, we hardly knew ye.
Let's see some more things here we're going to get into. I have some comments by Coach T. Also, I do have a little bit more scoop here about just maybe running into some of your older teams for right now for this particular segment. Of course, Arthur Smith is going to be interviewed by the Tennessee Titans for that offensive coordinator position. But this one here, guys, doesn't have to do with us, but I find this interesting. Kevin Stefanski, he makes a few comments and just talking about being in a bad position in Cleveland. This is what Baker Mayfield said. Baker Mayfield said this in response to Kevin Stefanski, who is now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Baker says, quote, "Can't wait to see you twice a year. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach." Of course, now Baker Mayfield will be facing Kevin Stefanski 2 times every year in that division, as Atlanta does play Tampa Bay twice a year. Mike, Stefanski and Baker, they always say coach and quarterback. That particular team that we're talking about, they knocked the Steelers out of the playoffs. I agree, was one of the better Cleveland Brown teams that I've seen in quite some time, success-wise. Mike, when it comes down to it, coach and quarterback, the 2 big ones. Who wins this battle this year between the coach that's going to be coaching Atlanta and the quarterback in Tampa Bay? Mike, who ends up being the bigger star, I guess you would say, out of the 2 as that starts to play out?
I'm going to go with the quarterback in this situation. Atlanta has some pieces down there, but they're far from a finished product. So I'm going to give the edge to Baker this year.
And I think, listen, I don't think Atlanta's too far. Atlanta's just so weird. They're really, and I'm talking really inconsistent. I mean, I know this because of the pick'ems this year. I picked them a lot, and they lost. And when I picked against them, they won. And they're very difficult. So to me, they're very inconsistent at best. Stefanski got to go down there and just get some stability in that organization. They don't have bad players. They've given away a lot of nicer players than I would have probably given away myself over the past few years. But again, this is a team they're trying to rebuild. They're running in sand, it seems like, and maybe Stefanski could give them that stability to start moving ahead a little bit. But again, I'm looking forward to that now. I didn't even think of the matchup between any kind of hostility between the 2, Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield, of course. But now we'll be able to watch it play out in the NFC West as the weakest division gets a little bit get a new face at least. So we will see how that plays out. Let me jump back on the board here, guys, because I don't want to miss anybody today. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Nice seeing you. I'm glad to see everybody on this Wednesday installment of the 2 Dum Yinzers. Welcome back. I'm gonna go right around here, I think. Right back to where all those Penn State comments were. I knew I'd be able to find it easily.
Oh, what? What?
Brian says this: I watched Penn State wrestle Iowa, and it was ridiculous. Mark Malone says, "Are you starting already?" I'm one comment in. Go ahead.
I know Penn. I've always been a Penn State wrestling fan. Duh.
Okay, hey, relax, would you? I'd like to get through this show. Just give me a few minutes, and you can comment on everything.
I'm running away. Then I'm gonna go cry.
Thank you, Mark Malone. Mark Malone says this: Mike is trying to distance himself from the Sandusky State. That's impossible. Once you're in, you're in. Once you're in, you're in. Yinzer Joe says Mike likes the Pitt Panthers because of the small hands picket. There you go, Mike. Go ahead. You could comment on that.
Blasphemy. That is no. God no. I hate Pitt. I'm a diehard Pitt hater and Kenny Pitter hater till the day I die.
To me, that sounds like a Penn State fan to me, but let me move on. Lindsay says this: I hate Pitt because of KP. Cody says Drew Allar is the greatest quarterback of all time. Mike, comment on that. Drew Allar, greatest quarterback.
I never heard of him.
Mark Malone, I do want to say welcome to everybody. If I hadn't said welcome, Mark Malone. Mark Malone says it's going to be McCarthy and another year of A-Rod. The old crackers ride again. Oh, God, I hope not.
Like when I read that comment, the first thing that popped in my head, if anyone saw Django Unchained, is when they were all trying to fix their mask and all the holes were cut wrong. That's all I heard when the old crackers are going to ride again was Django Unchained.
Yinzer Joe says, what the hell? Let's bring back Neil O'Donnell at this point. You know what? He got us to the Super Bowl. Shit. Tortilla says, who needs Neil O'Donnell when you could get Aiden O'Connell? Lindsay says, no, don't keep him. Mark Malone. So as we keep Cook. So as long as we keep Cook starting at left tackle, I don't think it matters. Mark Malone says, draft a blue chipper at left guard. Jamal says TJ wants out. What's up, Jamal? Great seeing you, dude. Mark says no more Watt power. Cody says this: Rooney is an old cheapskate. Rooney reminds me of the uncle on Home Alone that never pays for anything. He probably has his old lady washing clothes in the river to lower the electric bill. Tyrone says TJ doesn't want out. Jamal says I just read an article saying otherwise. Let me move up here to Yinzer Joe. Yinzer Joe says, I think players that don't develop like Busterus Jones just aren't getting it. All the other linemen are doing fine. Just move on from Jones. And you know what? That's a good point. I mean, he was he had higher expectations, Jones did. And that's one thing that you have to consider is that he still really doesn't have it. You're already talking 5th year with this guy. I mean, he's been around for quite some time. And some of these other guys, Mike, I mean, nobody even expected our right guard to be playing live action football within the first season of his career. Here he is. He has 2 seasons under his belt already. I mean, you have a rookie with the center. I think that, the offense, you can see who's making it along and who's going to be fine.
Exactly.
Fatanu looks good out there on the right tackle. Our right guard looks good. Our center looks good. And again, Ciamalo's not going to be around forever. So it makes you wonder what direction they're going to get. I like to think that they're going to start making the right decisions, Mike, as far as guys like Broderick, instead of keeping them around forever and just make moves. You got to make moves. You got to keep moving if you want to stay up with this moving train that is the NFL guys. It's changing all the time. You can't sit on your hands. And unfortunately, that's been something that the Steelers kind of fell into the past so many years. It seems like we've just waited so many things out, so many things. It's a fast-moving league now. This isn't the league that we grew up with, and I think that they have to make these moves, and they have to make them as they go. Again, leaving somebody like Busterus around for year after year after year after year, just wondering if he's ever going to get it. I think that those days got to go, Mike. This is a cutthroat business. If you can't do it, there's going to be a million kids behind you that will be willing to certainly give it a try, and some of them might be good enough to do it. So, in my opinion, you got to make a move with Jones. Unless he comes out of camp and plays like he's never played before in his life. If you see Broderick Jones come out and just turn on the switch, which is a possibility. Some guys can turn on that switch. Sometimes it happens a little later for guys than others. But if that would happen, then you would certainly have to consider it. But at this point, I'm running out of patience with Broderick Jones, Mike.
I am too, but he's still. We have him next year. It's we have to make the determination this year if we want to keep him for that 5th year. I don't think they're going to pick up his 5th year option. Then it's going to see, okay, how does he respond? Does he get in his head and flame out, or does he get in his head in a good way, double down and work on his craft to become the player that not just the Steelers, but just like more or less the entire NFL thought he could be. He had all that athletic ability, and if you can channel that, you have a chance to be one of the best tackles in the league. If he shows that growth, okay, yeah, you don't have him on the 50-year option, but you can potentially work him on a shorter term extension. And if he does well on that, sign him to a big long-term deal. Like Broderick Jones is playing for his contract life, NFL life on this deal.
Absolutely.
You very rarely see offensive linemen not make it through their first 4 years out of a first round draft pick, unless you totally suck ass. Broderick Jones hasn't. He's had his up and down, but he hasn't been a complete bust where like this guy can't do it in the NFL. You've seen flashes of him. So that's going to give him a chance here in Pittsburgh for one more year. And then after that, it's going to give him a chance for a couple more years to catch on somewhere else in the NFL. But like if he wants to hit that big time pay dirt, get that big time contract, he has to put it together this year.
He's not going to. Listen, that's a big jump because considering he's never had it together. Briefly, it seems like he might have had it together, and then he gets hurt and he's been out for the year. I'm done with Broderick Jones. Again, we have to decide this year on his 5th year. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, his contract, he has a whole other year.
Yeah.
That's the point of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so we have to figure that out this year. To me, I say let the guy go. That's just my opinion. Unless he shows up as Jonathan Ogden in offseason this year, and that's what we get moving forward. But again, there's been nothing that I've seen that even indicates anywhere close that he could be that particular player. And it sucks because, again, that was the starting point for us for building the interior, starting from the interior line to build this team to what they want, the way they wanted to build it. So it stinks in a way, but again, you have to move on. This is a league, again, it's constantly moving. Guys are ready to step up and be that guy. So if somebody isn't able to be that guy, he's got to get the hell out of the way. Maybe go play somewhere else. I'm not, you can't. Don't go home. What do they say? Don't go away mad or whatever it is. I don't know. Don't go home mad. Just go home. He's going to have to go eventually. He's not going to be the guy, in my opinion, Mike, because only this. I haven't seen anything that shows me that he is, and it's already been 3 seasons. Heading into his 4th, we have to make a decision on that 5th-year contract. I haven't seen enough to want to keep him. Again, other people on the offensive line, they have made the jump. They've came in as rookies. They came in as guys that, again, shouldn't have even been playing at least until the 2nd year, as far as McCollum and the other one. What's the other? I get the McCollum and the other one mixed up. McCormick.
Mason McCormick.
How can you not get those two names mixed up? But as far as, the younger guys, they certainly came in and made leaps and bounds when they had to. And they recognized the game, and they did it. And Fatanu, even after his year-long injury as a rookie, he came in and stepped it up. So to me, the odd man out of this group is Broderick Jones. If you're going to want to move forward, if you're going to want to come in and bring a new offensive line coach and kind of make a name for yourself, start with that left tackle, because that could be a big name you can make for yourself. If you could get a guy to block our quarterback's backside.
Yeah, because he was that building block, that supposed to be that foundational piece of the rebuild. You get your left tackle. What the next draft after, or 2 drafts after that, we draft the other 3/5 of the offensive line: center, right guard, right tackle. Boom, you get those 3. You had a Sayabalo there, and the thought process was Broderick Jones has it locked down. Those 3 guys develop, and then boom, you just have to replace Sayamalu. Now you got to replace 2 of them because the one guy that you pinned your entire hopes on, or your initial rebuild on, didn't pan out. So we're very fortunate. The center, right guard, right tackle has panned out. Left guard, I think we should be able to find someone in the draft or free agency. Left tackle going to be tricky. I know a lot of people are hype on Dylan Cook. A small sample size. Some of those guys can come in for a short period of time, look good. You put them out there for 17 games.
Matt Murray.
How are they going to look through that entire run?
And then you take all your eggs and put them in that basket. You're like, oh, this kid's young. Look what we're seeing from him. Give him everything. It's the same situation. That's why Marc-Andre Fleury didn't finish as a Penguin, guys, in my opinion.
That's why it wouldn't surprise me if we go the 2nd, 3rd round pick an offensive tackle. And I would not be opposed to that. It wouldn't surprise me either. Yeah. Or I was going to say, worst case scenario, Fatanu has the ability to play the left tackle position. He is athletic enough we would to do it, but you don't want to do that. Like you got him, you got that whole side settled down, just finish building the left side. I think they'll be able to do it in one offseason.
Yeah, I'm not calling him a lock yet, Somber. I was just kind of giving an example of the young guys, how they were. And specifically McCormick was the one I was trying to catch on that last point I was making. Let me move here forward a little bit. Colin Coward. This guy, we should just take him and hang him burn him on the stake already at this point. Colin Coward, this guy has literally never, ever had a positive thing to say about the Steelers, and that's fine. Whatever. I don't give 2 shits. When I'm reading this, Mike, Colin Coward says the Steelers are just not good at this. Well, when you've only done something 3 times in 60 years, maybe you aren't as sharp as the teams that are getting it done every year, like them Browns. They're certainly really good at the rebuilding and this whole. Come on, Colin Cowherd, the guy. Every time he opens his mouth, Mike, I think what a loser. This Colin Cowherd says this. My quote: "The Steelers just not good at this." During their coaching, their head coach search, Mike Colin Cowherd. What do you think?
You were interviewing Brian Flores was, what highly regarded during the part of the season. Like, oh my God, this guy needs to be a head coach in the NFL. Okay, so we're going to interview him. Oh my God, Shula and Shellhouse. These guys are up and coming. They need to be interviewed. We're interviewing the Steelers are literally doing what all good teams do, going out and getting the high quality guys. And then you're interviewing other people who have had success and have been around people who had success. And what you're doing, you're picking their brains in those interviews. How do you think Andy Weidel got the job? They interviewed him, liked what he was saying, offered him a position, not the one that he wanted, but one that he can learn and grow from. You do with some of these other coaches. Hey, we don't think you're going to be a good fit for our head coach or even offensive coordinator. Hey, McCarthy, you want to come in and be like a senior assistant to the team? Give us ideas for the passing game because you've had some really good offenses. We don't want you running the team. Hey, filter in some ideas to these guys. Hey, Brian Flores, we don't think you're going to be a head coach here, but how about you come in and be a defensive coordinator like you can do? Like these are good things to do. You interview as many people as you can, get all the information that you can, and then you find your best candidate. And I think the Steelers have done a good job finding head coaches in the past. Yes, we've only had to hire 3 of them.
We've done a fantastic
but they've all hit. They've all hit. We might not like everyone's success rate, but they've all hit.
You can't yell like that. That's crazy. I blew my ears out of my head. But
I'm sorry. But right. I didn't realize how I had that.
But Mike, they were all successes. Every single coach that we hired in the Super Bowl era has been a success. So Colin Cowherd, he's a loser. I mean, come on, seriously, the dude, all he does is talk stupid shit. The guy never says anything that makes any sense. And again, when you find a guy that certainly, continuously as a neutral person, I would say maybe, he doesn't lean toward any team, or he doesn't to hate the Steelers the way he does. He's a loser. Nobody cares what Colin Cowherd has to say.
No, because he knows it will get the fan base riled up. And that's why he's a troll. He's a troll.
Speaking of other trolls, other idiots, Mike, one of the national media or one of our local media people here in Pittsburgh, I'm not going to name names, but he says this Gainwell is going to look, he thinks that Gainwell is going to be leaving in free agency. Mike, is there any way that Kenneth Gainwell isn't at least brought back for another season? In my opinion, I don't think that Kenneth Gainwell goes anywhere, but one of our brilliant media minds in here in Pittsburgh sports here seems to think Kenny Gainwell will not be on the Steelers moving forward.
The only way, if he gets offered, top flight running back money,
absolutely right.
You jump and run on that. But if you're going to get a comparable offer, why not run it back with Pittsburgh? You are obviously used rather well here in Pittsburgh. Yeah, it was a different coaching staff, but you have a skill set that a lot of teams will covet. And if we're going to go and get out a young, innovative head coach, offensive coordinator, I think you're going to be used a whole hell of a lot here. You and Jalen Warren. You're going to make yourself a lot of money here.
Let me ask you this as well. With players coming and going, now a lot of people are wondering, is Gainwell going to be around? Is there now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we have a huge draft coming up, Mike, in this huge off season. Now you have a lot of leverage. And again, I don't know. I think they're going to play. I think they're going to be really conservative with Mike and Coach T and whatever he decides he wants to do. But ultimately, you have the Mike Tomlin leverage. You have guys like TJ Watt that we could get out of a lot of money. If somebody comes along, yes, there's no trade, but things could be worked out, believe me. And so you have guys like TJ Watt and, guys that certainly have leverage as well because of their name, people that could certainly save us a lot of money. Is there any way, Mike, that you see any kind of trade in the sense? And now I think that a trade on draft day is 100% possible by way of picks. Now, when it comes to players and leverage and names, Mike, is there any chance you think that any of these people, and I'm seeing a lot of PQ, get rid of PQ and get rid of Jonnu and things like this. There's just a lot of names that can certainly, we're going to be moving players and pieces around. Mike, any of these names, these guys, players, personnel, will they be involved in any draft day picks, do you think, to try to land something higher in the draft? Because again, Mike, this could be a home run draft day in Pittsburgh, if they played the game right, if the Steelers play this right, this can be a grand slam if they do it right. And what do you think? Are they gonna leverage players in this, or are they gonna stick primarily with picks and try to move up how they can?
It's all going to be on the head coach in whatever scheme they decide. Definitely on the defensive side of the ball. Because if they're going to go to a more traditional kind of set where we don't need these 4 edge rushers because they don't fit like the typical 4-3 DNs, I could see a Herbig. I can see a TJ Watt being moved. I hate to say
Herbig. Stop
Herbig.
talking. I'm not going to stop you. Listen to me. Would you rather lose TJ or Herbig at this point?
TJ.
Absolutely. Would it be crazy to you if we ended up leveraging Herbig somewhere and TJ stayed? In my opinion, at this point, that's way too much money for a guy at that age. It's not giving you the punch outs that he gave you 5 years ago, even. Mike, I think it's a no-brainer. If you get rid of one of those two guys, Nick Herbig has to stay.
Yeah, he has to stay, but he's just one of those guys that, he could potentially actually land you more in a trade than TJ Watt because he's younger.
I know, because he's younger.
All that. Yep.
But I think dumber teams will pay more money for guys like TJ Watt. I do. I don't think they're when you see a dumb team like the Raiders, I think they're more susceptible to giving money for a TJ Watt and say, well, we don't know about this guy. He's not exactly accomplished, established, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's more likely for TJ to be moved than it would be for Nick Herbig, and I would prefer it that way.
Yeah, me too. But I don't anticipate like TJ Watt being traded just because of the contract situation. It's going to be
so no player personnel on draft day. You're not thinking?
Maybe someone like a Jonnu Smith because that contract's easy to get out of for a team. Maybe someone like a PQ. I think they run it back again next year with PQ, but it all depends on the scheme. Jalen Ramsey, I don't think he's going anywhere. I see draft picks being moved up. I see us moving up in the first round, not to get a quarterback, but I think maybe to draft one of these, one of the top 2 wide receivers. I could see that happening. We did it before. Then we trade up to get Santonio Holmes.
Yeah, and then we gave him away 2 years later after he won a bunch of football games for us.
That was a different coaching staff and all that, but I can see them trading.
We're going to get into that more as the day goes on too. I have a nice package put together for that. Let me move on though on the board here, guys. I want to get caught up on these messages, Mike, as more are coming in. I don't want to get lost today, but I swear you will get back to that here real soon. Mark Malone says this at Cody, cheapsake. Is that a Mexican term or something? Tyrone says,
I initially read that as cheap sake.
Tyrone says, boy, stop TJ. Fine. TJ Tortilla says TJ wants to be a Black Panther. Also, Cody says, no, it's an American thing, I think. Lindsay says, God, please take Arthur Smith. Please. I don't even know what the hell I looked at for the past 2 years watching this offense. I don't even know what I looked at. What was that? It wasn't recognizable as an offense in the NFL. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. How do you go into the most important games of the year with no wide receivers in your roster? Okay, they had the – come on. Let's move on. Jollymon says this Steelers' way of keeping coaches, Mike McCarthy will be like 100 when he resigns. Exactly. I don't think he's going to be the head coach, and I don't think the Steelers are dumb enough to make him the head coach. Again, I think that they see the writing on the wall, and these guys are kind of limited at this point. Your Harbaughs, your Tomlins, and your McCarthys. Again, they are going to be solid. They're going to probably do a fine job, but at the end of the day, I don't know if you're building your team around these kind of guys. At this point, the way this league is moving, I think that it might be unwise to make that decision now to have him aboard as far as maybe a coordinator position, something like this. I don't rule that out at all. I think that's a very good possibility. Certainly if nobody wants Mike McCarthy, it isn't like people are knocking down the doors to get this guy. So again, he is a Pittsburgh guy. I can see him landing in some capacity, Mike, but I don't think that you go with somebody like McCarthy for your head coach. Not for the Steelers right now. What's going on? Again, this is one of the biggest moments in Steeler history, certainly in the Super Bowl era. They have to handle this right. And if they don't, if they whiff on this, it's who knows what the hell the next move is going to be. Again, we kind of have to take advantage. We're put in a position to hit that game-winning home run in the 9th inning, in the bottom of the 9th, 2 men out, full count. We're in the position to hit that home run. We have the draft. We have the draft picks. We have the capital. We're looking for a new coach. You have to hit this grand slam to win this game again. Then if not, who knows how long this thing is going to take to pull together. And I got to be honest with you, people might say, well, you should have kept the guy. No, that wasn't the answer. That was part of the falling apart. I'm not saying he was all to blame, But we're in a position right now, you
Yeah.
kind of have to hit that bottom of the ninth home run for the Steelers, or you come back the following year just scratching your head saying, okay, what now?
Yeah. I see McCarthy coming in is if they can't land one of these guys, and he's just a transitional coach. It'd be the only way I can see it. Let him bring in a younger staff and then have someone on that staff ready to take over in 2 to 3 years. That would be the only way I see it. His offenses have been really good wherever he's been, but he had Aaron Rodgers, had Dak Prescott. He's not going to have that here in Pittsburgh.
I don't know. Dak Prescott doesn't impress me, but point taken. Let me move on. Black Badge. I'm sorry, Jamal.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I mean, the guy literally has never done anything. Jamal says tortilla. He does. Mark Malone says just fuck it with your man. Absolutely, dude. He says we called them the Junies, the Roonies. TJ for life. Tyrone says Cody, tell the Arthur dipshit to take Jonnu Smith. You know what I mean? He seems to love that Jonnu. Maybe Arthur will take him back to Tennessee as he reclaims his offensive coordinator position as he is being interviewed for that position once again. Moving forward here. Jamal also says this: every coach on here in interviewed had a worse record than the GOAT Mike T. Well, yeah, and a lot of them hasn't coached for 20 years, but yeah, you're in theory, yes, you're right. TC says this afternoon, everybody. Always great seeing TC on the terrible board. My man, my neighbor, actually from Quip. Lindsay says TJ for life. Mark Malone, he used to use the middle of the field. It was a staple of this offense. The middle of the field is going to be nice to see that being used again. It blows my mind that we went through so many different coordinators and quarterbacks, offenses, and that middle of the field just never, ever became available for us. Again, you need somebody to get in and figure these things out. You need people that can come in and create schemes and game plans. And again, going by how things have went, if we ever play a team moving forward that has a better defense than us or has a high defense, we are never in the past 10 years, we're in a position to win those football games. Look at a team like Houston. What did they do? Houston. Come on, Houston. This isn't even a great team in the AFC. They're a good team. Yes, they won their division. But if you ever play a team that has a good defense ever again, you didn't plan on winning if things wouldn't have changed. Am I wrong? No. Look at all the results from January for 10 years. We were at least down by 21 points in every single one of them. Every one. Not one that we weren't. Things weren't going good, guys. And I know it's sensitive, and that's what makes it difficult. I understand that. But again, the show must go on. The show must go on. The show must go on. Let me jump back on the board here. Mark Malone. I'm sorry. Lindsay, Jonnu definitely needs to go. Jonnu got to go. He got to go. Jonnu got to go. Yinzer Joe says, I'd like to see TJ move on and maybe get on a team that wins the Super Bowl. Same with Cam, but probably not a long shot. I mean, Cam, how much more do we think these guys have? Cam's going to be what, 37? 37?
Get rid of him. He needs to walk after this year.
37? I mean, we're like the Walking Dead out there with these guys. Every minute with these old, come on, 42, 37. I mean, that's weird. It's getting to the point. It's weird. This isn't making your team better. You don't bring in all these old. Come on. The show must go on. We have to move forward. We have to. Enough of this. Tyrone says, please, Titans, please take Arthur Smith. Tyrone also says, Lindsay, Jonnu, PQ, they cut. I'm okay with PQ being around another year. I don't hate PQ. I think he's solid in the middle. He had a gang of tackles. There's a lot of times he's out of position, though. He is kind of a guy, Mike and I think we talked about this before, where he's a kind of a guy you got to kind of let do his thing in the middle there. I think that he could be a serviceable inside linebacker. I do. He's just tricky in a sense, and I think that's how it was with Baltimore. Sometimes if he isn't just kind of doing his thing in the middle, he gets out of position a lot. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's trying to do his thing too much, and that's how he ends out of position. But a lot of time in the middle of the field, I see him out of position, chasing tight ends 30 yards down the field that maybe he should have been breaking up the play, things like this. But I'm not 100% against PQ. The other guy, Jonnu Smith, I don't want to ever see again. As far as a Steeler player goes, anywhere else, I'm fine with, of course. Let me move forward here a little bit. Somber. I'm sorry, Yinzer Joe. Yinzer Joe says this. No, a little bit further back. Here we go. James Harrison already put rumors on PQ gone. And I was said earlier, I still haven't confirmed, but I do believe you. Tyrone said also this, only 3 people I'm signing back, Gainwell, Miles Killebrew, maybe Calvin Austin the third. Yeah. And that all depends on what we do in the draft too, and off free agency and everything else. Again, I'm gonna hold my judgment on that as far as, again, Miles Killebrew, he's nice on special teams. Gainwell was good on offense. I don't know. We will see. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. Inder Joe says Baker is going to cook a Falcon. LOL. Somber, I'll go with the team with the quarterback. I'll go with the team with the quarterback. Tyrone says deal. Tater says Atlanta fans are pissed. They got Shafee. Wouldn't you be? They don't want him bringing any of that Cleveland funk down there. I mean, what if he doesn't wash it all off enough? And he, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that Cleveland funk. Believe me. Lindsay says this. I don't actually care who goes. To be honest, even if TJ wants out fresh start, that's kind of where I'm at. Let's move forward. It's where we're at. Love it or hate it. I mean, it had to happen eventually. Just how long were they going to kick the can down the road? So again, you got to get dig into that batter's box and take advantage of this 9th inning, like Bill Mazeroski did in the 1960 World Series as he walked off against the New York Yankees. The Pittsburgh Pirates winning the big World Series that year. 1 of 5. 1 of 5 if you're keeping track. Let's look up here. TC says, Baker said, I'm going to cook for you. I'm going to cook you. He did say that. And I'm there for it. I like me a little Baker. He's got a little fire in him, Mike. I like it.
Yeah. And I love these feuds in sports, man. This is what we're missing.
I know. Jamal says, LOL, Tater, they shouldn't be. Big facts. Exactly. Also says, I want Keanu Reeves in the replacements. Tyrone says, Marcus Blaze, cold Mike. Just learning Penn State wrestling coach. Just Penn State wrestling. Coach wrestling, just learning says this. Champion, I guess you might be saying. Tyrone, I'm a wrestler guy, so I know what's up. We definitely got to talk. If it was good, Dole, can't wait to see the Nationals. This should be great tournament, Mike. Wrestling.
Yeah, I don't follow a lot of college wrestling, but I know like Penn State has been just dominant. It feels like for the past decade.
Mike just knows that they put on those little singlets and they bend over and get on all fours for the other guy. And he says, you know what? I'm in. That is Mike's capacity.
Hey, brother, over here in the lot, over here in the lot with the Lizards, man, we don't judge.
Jamal says, yo, nephew got first place, huh? Let's see, 30 saying, hey, congratulations on that, guys. Gang, at Ryan. What's up, dude? Always great seeing Jamal. Tyrone says, yeah, he's 13-3 in regionals this week. That's awesome. Congratulations, man. Keep it up. Jamal says, damn, that's dope as fuck. Also, Jamal says, that's his black side whooping ass. Probably. Probably. You know what? The white guys can wrestle. I don't know. Don't get him in the boxing. That's the one I wouldn't go to. If I was if I'm going by race, I would certainly
wrestling work.
Yes.
Wrestling's our sport, man. We got to have something that in hockey.
I got to be honest. Yeah. Let me move forward here. Just Learning says this. We got a Penn State guy here helping with our team. Pennsylvania is the best state. We do have a lot of good wrestling. Pitt has great wrestling. Penn State has great wrestling. No two ways about it. A lot of good wrestlers come out of PA. Lindsay says this. Broderick got to go. He got to go. Jamal says he's a bum. I'm going to go up here to Jamal. He says he might grow up, but I doubt it's in Pitt. I agree. If he ends up somewhere else, like if he's in San Francisco, I could see 5 years down the road saying, oh, look, he ended up turning out being a good player. Good for Broderick. That's just kind of the way it feels to me. TC says, go figure, Terry Smith. Right? It's Terry Smith from Aliquippa. Of course, Penn State's, what was he, the interim coach? Was that, I'm not real sure of the details on what's going up there, but he is involved in the coaching situation going on. Also, Just Learning says, there it is. Motley Crue, don't go away mad. Just go away. Arthur Smith, don't go away mad. Just go away and run. Don't walk. You're losing opportunities as you walk. Believe me. Let's see. Tater says major rebuild needed in Pittsburgh. We're gonna be all right. I promise. I promise we're better than Cleveland is next year. I promise we'll finish better than Cleveland because Cleveland has finished better than us once. since 1988. Once since 1988. We'll be just fine. You worry about your shit stains over there, Tater Tot. Don't worry about us.
They're hanging their head on that one.
Believe me, that was their Super Bowl. There's nothing that they love more than the fact that they beat the Steelers in the playoffs one time. That's just like us getting into the playoffs and beating somebody that's like if we get into if the Pirates get into the playoffs and they beat I don't know who, the Cardinals, it would be the equivalent of like nobody really cares. It's literally a game, and it happens every year, and teams lose, and they just haven't done it more than one time since 1988. Yeah. I think I wouldn't bring that up if I was them, but they think a little different up there. Yinzer Joe says, Lindsay. TC says people were like matter. They take up space. They sure do. Lindsay says, well, we are always relevant, as every single one of our coaches had awesome careers. These big three all had awesome careers. So we're going to be just fine. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Yinzer Joe says this, Ryan, don't go away, Mad, just go away. I'd like to just say that, and Broad goes away. I never was happy with this play. Look at that. You got a poet and don't know. You know what? That's a game ball candidate, man. That was pretty creative. A lot of work put into that. Somber says McCormick is still under review. I'm not calling him a lock just yet. I mean, either. Again, he's still under the review, and he's certainly what's the other one, Mike? Not McCormick. Why do I always get this guy? Why do I always forget this guy's name? Mike, the other offensive lineman.
McCollum, he's a backup center.
So you're not into McCormick. I see. I like McCormick. I think he's done well. I think he's ahead of his grave. His grade. You know what I mean? He stepped in and played in big games for us for 2 years. To say I'm sold, I think there's always room for improvement. But as far as things I'm looking forward to move forward and to make the team better, I'm certainly not stressing on that right guard position just at this point. Lindsay says, I hate Coward. He knows nothing. He knows nothing. He's an idiot. Every view he has is stupid. Steeler freak John, my man says, obviously Mike didn't use his interview model when Derpy got hired.
That you know what we were looking on Ryan. That was
you're right. It is
that one.
All right,
he did an end around.
Do me a huge favor.
No,
do me a huge favor. Turn your mic down just a hair because you're killing me, man. Yes, please. Because if you're gonna talk, continue to talk loud though. That's the trick.
My bad. It's been a while.
Well, now see, now it's too low. Now you gotta come up a little.
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
But no, like. Oh my God, man, you're like a woman. Okay, Derpy. All right. That was all right.
You're the one screaming. You're the one screaming at high levels. How am I the woman? But you are right. You are right. It was my fault. I set out to hire somebody, bring somebody in with big breasts, and I said I'm going to do this. I am going to have somebody here on this team that is going to have big breasts. Mike supported me 100%. He said, "Yes, go get somebody with big breasts." And unfortunately, Derpy was who we landed, and that's how it played out. So there you go. Do what you will with that.
Because I thought we were talking about big titty goth girls, and you give me Derpy.
I said I'm going to go find somebody with big breasts, and you gave me your blessing, so it's all on you. All you had to do is tell me no. That's all you had to do.
Hey, we were talking about big titty goth women when we said this, and I assumed that's where we were going.
Let's go right here. Long live Derpy. That is Jamal. Tyrone says cut Johnu, cut PQ, TJ, DK, J Ram, reconstruct, keep PQ is what Jamal was saying. Jollymon says he was okay when he had Joy Taylor. Also, Yinzer Joe, Ben, both Gainwell and Warren got over 1,000 from scrimmage yards last season. They sure did. Jamal says, man, I don't even care anymore. My heart is torn. Also, he says, you ready for the draft, Tyrone? Tyrone is making his way in town. Yesterday, Georgianne was on the board. She said something. She said her husband wasn't a Steeler fan. And I thought about you, Tyrone, because you as far as I know, your significant other, you told us that she was a Browns fan when he was heading up to Cleveland. Is she coming down to the draft? I just have to know. Nothing against. I certainly will treat her well if we meet, but I just have to know, is she coming to the draft with you? Or are you leaving the Browns fan at home? I'm just curious. I know it's your girlfriend, and I'm not saying anything. I'm just wondering. Let's move on a little bit more here on the board. Jamal says, man, I don't even care anymore. My heart is torn. Got that. Tyrone says, duh. Jamal says we would keep TJ and get rid of Nick. See, that's why I think you're right. I think ultimately you're right. It's just time to move on. It's just time to move on. And that's, again, for a handful of people, in my opinion. It's the Steelers' way. Jamal says Tortilla says, nah, keep Herbig and trade Highsmith. Bro plays 7 games a year. Think about Herbig. I'm sorry, Highsmith. Highsmith. He does get his numbers when he's active. But the thing is, I mean, he's only active half of the year, Mike.
Same thing, like Herbig's been nicked up, Watt's been nicked up, Highsmith's been nicked up. The only one who hasn't is so far is Jack Sawyer.
But let's just talk about PK. Let's just talk about the guy we're talking about, Alex Highsmith. Like the guy, he comes in and he's very productive when he is active. I mean, there was a couple games at the end of the season he really came through and blew up the backfield with some sacks. Yeah. But the thing is with him, he's week to week. You don't know if he's all of a sudden going to get his groin injury is going to be back, if his hip's going to be back, if his it's always something. How do you handle a guy like Alex Highsmith? Because again, he's solid in the sense that he's not my superstar, so I want him active all the time. Now, a superstar, when they take a hit and they're out for a little while, you're like, okay, everybody else has to step up. Alex Highsmith isn't that guy. He has to be part of the whole that comes together when somebody of a bigger production isn't available. Let's say TJ Watt for the sake of this conversation. Now, Smitty got to be the guy. Let's say TJ goes down with one of his injuries, whatever the hell his issues are. Smitty got to be the guy. He can't be the guy that's missing and it's on and off. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. His production is good as a fill-in guy, as the guy that's going to step up and do that job and do it well. Again, I don't like the fact that he gets hurt so much. That was always an issue with me. I like Bud Dupree back when this decision was being made back in the day. Of course, I think we made the right move going with the younger body. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he can't take that superstar role on. He can't. We can't say that. You know what? Let's Jack Sawyer. He's got to really step it up, which he has to eventually. I just think that Alex Highsmith needs to be more available, Mike. I think his best ability on this team, Alex Highsmith's best ability, Mike, would be what?
Availability,
100% true. If he's not available, to me, Highsmith stock drops dramatically, in my opinion. As long as he's healthy and as long as he's playing, he has nice value on his team. Yeah. He's just somebody that you can't have him out all the time because again, he's not your best outside linebacker.
No.
So now you have to replace your second to best. I like, if you lose your first and your second steps up, that's still an ideal situation for teams, especially with Nick Herbig to be able to fall into that third spot. But again, Smitty misses way too much football for me. I don't know what we do with him moving forward. I'm not sure where his contract at, but I do know that, Mike, that is one thing I don't like moving forward is his injury issues. And you can't help but get hurt, but some guys just get hurt way more than others.
Yeah. And he's a great opposite TJ Watt.
Yes, he is.
Put him out on an island. He's gonna be the guy over there.
It's the equivalent of wide receivers, like having a good wide receiver opposite side of you to make your production better. It's the equivalent of the wide receivers. Yeah. GP didn't have that guy opposite side of him to make his job easier. It's the same thing with outside linebackers. He is the perfect number 2. The TJ's 1. If he becomes 1 and Herbig comes 2, it's not the same thing. You lose that. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. And that's, again, my problem is his injuries.
Yeah. I just wish he could stay healthy because, my God, like when he's healthy, you see him out there, he can put up some damn good numbers.
Absolutely. When he's healthy.
And I've been a big fan of Highsmith. I like when we got him in the third round, watching him get better year over year. I didn't like the length of the contract, the value of it, but they can get out of it this year if they want to. But I think this will be his last year in Pittsburgh, though.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on the board. I'm going to move forward. Tortilla says, no, keep Herbig. Okay, we did get that. Mark Malone. We land McCarthy, bring A-Rod, trade Herbig, keep TJ. Highsmith for life. Jamal says TJ for Highsmith for life. I'm sorry. Following that up by J Ram So Trash. Just Learning says, keep everybody. Yinzer Joe says, dang, I just heard McCarthy coached Joe Montana in Kansas City back in the day. Wow, he was a Pitt coach back in the late 80s. He was an assistant Pitt coach. But yes, that year the Chiefs did beat the Steelers in the playoffs. McCarthy was on that coaching staff, and that was just after he had that 2 to 3 years stint in Pitt. So McCarthy's been around for a minute, man. Don't drink that. Hold on, missing something here. All right here. Lindsay said, no, some of them need to go. Tortilla says the good thing about McCarthy is he is a quarterback-friendly coach. Don't drink that. That's my man, Corey Beavers. He says this Kenny G won't get used anywhere like he's used here. You know what? I can see that. I can see him going somewhere else and just fizzing out. I mean, he did okay in his early part of his career with Philly, but he really became a piece of what Pittsburgh was doing. He fit. And you hope he would do okay, and you would hope the best for him moving forward. And if he would leave Pittsburgh, but again, it seems like one of them situations, guys. When somebody excels in Pittsburgh and they go elsewhere and they kind of shit out, he feels like that to me, Mike. It feels that he could fall into that category, kind of get buried in somebody else's depth chart and kind of become irrelevant. And I wouldn't want to see that. I think Kenneth Gainwell has great value in this league if used correctly.
Yeah, because you saw that in Philly. He was kind of buried behind Saquon, and he had that game against Pittsburgh where he balled out, and that really opened the eyes for the Steelers to Ken Gainwell. Like they're like, yeah, this guy is good, but then they saw how good he was firsthand up close, and they're like, okay, yeah, we got to go get this guy. And my fear is, like, if he would leave, like you said, he can go and be buried elsewhere or not used properly. I think the Steelers and whoever they get will know how to use him. I hope he gives us another chance when we get the new head coach, because I think him and Warren are a dynamic duo in the NFL. They complement each other so well.
Mark Malone says it was Tomlin O. Somber says this. I'm trying to get you Somber. Here we go. Just Learning says Arthur Smith worse than Canada. I think that it certainly makes Canada look a little better after we've seen Arthur Smith come here and do what he did. We're sitting there going, oh, look how terrible Canada. We can't do anything. When part of Arthur Smith's deal was part of his game plan was to basically do the same exact thing with less receivers. So again, I think Canada gains a little value by the way things turned out this year. Somber, at a time when there is an entire upheaval of coaching staff, losing the person in charge of assembling the draft board and identifying talent would be a big blow to the operation. Jerry Dulac, that is a quote by Dulac. Also, Somber goes his thoughts on Weedle's interview. It's very interesting, guys. Again, what happens with Weedle? Let me read it one more time with that being said. Now that I know that it was Weedle, this is from Jerry Dulac. At a time when there was an entire upheaval of coaching staff, losing the person in charge of assembling the draft board and identifying that talent would be a big blow to the operation. I couldn't agree more, Mike. Andy Weedle leaves between now and April. How does that affect the draft?
Big time. It's going to be huge because, like you said, he was the guy who put up the board, big time in the talent evaluation. They're gonna have to scramble to find someone outside, or hopefully they have someone within the Omar Khan's GM office that can step in and take that role. Someone who's been learning under Weedle for the past couple of years that can step into that role. It's a big unknown. That's why I'm saying I'm throwing money at Andy Weedle to keep him to stay here.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be huge. So it's paying attention to what goes on with Andy Weedle is going to be big, guys. Keep your eye on that as well. Let me move it here, right here. Somber says, kind of agree. Shrine Bowl in a week, Senior Bowl in 2 weeks. The timing isn't great. You're right. For the internal stuff that's going to be happening and going on, the timing couldn't be worse. But, it's at that time of year. And again, he's good at his job. I'm not surprised to see he's getting interviews. And that doesn't mean he's going to take it. It doesn't mean he's going to take it. I imagine it's probably a nice pay raise going from the assistant to actual GM. But we'll have to see. We'll have to watch that play out. Tortilla says, we get mad at how bad Tomlin's draft's been. Maybe escaping the process is actually good for it. Maybe scrapping the process. Maybe we're going to learn all that, man. Absolutely. We're going to learn a lot in the next year. Between now and January 21 of 2027, we're going to learn a lot about our football team. No two ways about that. TC, my man says, Buffalo let Diggs go, and look what you're right. tortilla, but that could definitely screw us over. Tyrone says this. Yeah, we need a coach soon, Somber. So he's there. Yeah, I think we'll definitely have him hired by the time the draft comes around. Again, obviously, a lot of this is hanging on waiting for these teams to lose and guys that we want to talk to that's still actively participating in the playoffs. So, again, I think it certainly gets hired and handled by the time the draft comes around. We just have to wait a little longer than everybody else. That kind of sucks because you're seeing guys moving. But does it really suck? Because on the other hand, a situation like Buffalo, now. You're able to see the field a little bit more if you do get to stick around longer. Yes, you may miss on opportunities, but you're also going to see other people whiff. Again, I think Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta is going to be Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta. It's going to turn out just the way it sounds. And again, guys, that out of 10 total vacancies, all these head coaches roaming around, guys got fired, guys looking for promotion. I don't think it's the worst thing ever that we got to kind of sit back and wait a little bit. We're going to watch a little bit of it play out. Maybe we could, catch something that we didn't catch in the beginning. I know that there's about 4 names that they're considering serious candidates at this time. I don't think it's any secret. I think that Brian Flores, I think Mike McCarthy, I think Nate Schilhaus, and I also think Chris Shula are the 4 names. And from my opinion, and then here's the thing, I don't want to give, I don't have a prediction, but I'm going to predict it's one of those 4 names. One of those 4 names is going to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up. And again, we do have to wait a little bit longer, but we're not going to be able to jump on a stupid idea. Let's just say again, like Atlanta, they went out and got their guy, and it was Kevin Stefanski. We're not forced to be in that position. We can kind of sit back, watch a little bit, watch the guys that we want to keep an eye on, watch the guys that we may be hiring, watch these guys coordinate and coach in with the Rams here for the next week, 3 weeks, whatever the case may be. So I don't think we're in the worst situation ever. It's kind of not allowing us to jump in and make a decision that isn't warranted, I think. I don't hate the position we're in. Maybe it's a blessing that we do get to sit back a little bit and watch this play out before we make our call. But again, I think one of those 4 gentlemen will be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. Mike McCarthy, Brian Flores, Nate Schilhaus, and then also Chris Shula are my 4 finalists as I'm looking at all these names on the list. Let me throw this in, guys. If you have heard it, PFF, I don't love PFF, but I love this. PFF did say this, guys. PFF, they did name James Pierre. James Pierre underrated, the most underrated impact player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Guys, most underrated impact player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike, James Pierre, do you agree? Again, PFF isn't my thing. I don't generally agree with them guys over there. But what do you think? James Pierre falls in that category? Most underrated player on the Steelers?
Yeah, he was the most underrated player on the team. He balled out down the end, dude. He played really well next to JPJ. If you can get him back, I think it'd be huge. And Asante Samuel's back. Your top 3 corners are set.
Let me go a couple more of these messages. I have a few more things we're going to get into, a couple more talking points. And I do have something special for the end of the show that I did put together for today. But let me grab some of these messages. I don't want to get too far behind. I certainly don't want to miss anything here. I'm going to go right here to right here. Okay, let's go right here. Somber says talent evaluation is a huge piece of rebuild. Hopefully that doesn't F us. Mark Malone, Hayward was one of our best defensive line. Absolutely. He certainly was. The other guys do need to step up, and I think they will. I think Harmon's going to be just fine. I'd like to see Y.A. Black eventually become a regular, maybe a starter on the offensive line, guys. And again, even Keanu Benton, he certainly played above his average talent. What he showcased so far in his career this year. It wasn't the worst thing ever. And here's the thing, a lot of the PQ is trash and stuff, and I agree. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're going to kind of have to pick and choose who we keep as well. Because we're going to want to replace, we're going to draft, we're going to bring people in, and it's not going to be feasible to just place all these people in a starting position right out of nowhere and basically start a new team over. So there are going to be guys that have to stick around. And again, if PQ and J-Ram are going to continue to be around for another season or whatever, another 2 for J-Ram, whatever his contract is, I'm okay with that. I don't hate PQ. And I think that these guys both have value on this team. And at the end of the day, again, we're going to have to keep some people. It isn't like we're just coming in and get it going all fresh, all new players, all faces, of course. So for that matter, I don't hate PQ. I think he could be a solid piece. Again, moving forward, probably you're going to want to replace him and try to get somebody who could be a more permanent guy. Lindsay says, I don't think PQ should wear the green dot. It seems like that's a problem. You're right. Tyrone says this, though. He says he can't tackle or cover, and that's a problem. That is definitely a problem. Yinzer Joe says Canada and Smith's offenses were totally different. Canada liked spreads and sweeps. Smith played a more power run, heavy set, which ranked 11, 20 passing. Canada's 20 both, and neither of them got us any wins in January. They were totally opposite. What do you do? You try one way and you stink. Then you try the other way and you stink. You got to have people coming in knows how to, some guys can just get it done. Other people don't. Tortilla says this PQ can make a few plays, but he certainly makes more mistakes than tackles. Mark Malone says this: we should get rid of Jonnu, DK, Ramsey. We would save a shit ton of money doing those three. Page, APJ, and Herbig is what Tyrone is saying. Cody says not keeping track. The Yankees have 27 championships. That's true. That's true. Would have been 28 if they would have beat the Pirates. But let me move on. Mark Malone says, I still hate the bastard. Also, Mike Tomlin, he says, my balls itch. There's Mike Tomlin on the board, everybody. The great Mike Tomlin talking about his itchy balls. There he is. Say hi to Coach. Mark Malone says this. He says, yeah, that's a true Sandusky State fan. It's a true Sandusky State fan. Tyrone says, shake my head, Ryan. Wrestling is the hardest sport in the world. Also, Jamal says wrestling isn't that hard. Cross country. Yeah, anything where you got to do a lot of running. Certainly at my age, that seems like a terrible sport to. But hey, whatever, do your thing. Mark Malone says this: the running they made us do in wrestling in high school is insane. So they do a lot of running in wrestling, huh? I guess it makes sense. You got to have the, cardio and all that. Yes, the Rock Bottom. That's the wrestling that I like to watch. With all the divas and the Royal Rumbles and the divas. You remember the bra and panties match, Mike? The bra and panties matches?
Those were the best matches.
That's what I'm saying. Lindsay says, need your stamina right now. That's why they make you run. Absolutely. Damn, I hate running, Jamal. And double absolutely on that. Just Learning says 54 was a wrestling champ. TC says they don't need to rebuild. We'll just reload. That's what I'm saying, man. Wrestling is fake tortilla. It is sports entertainment, and that is now, as of the past 4 years, what they were referring to the Pro Football League as. NFL is now sports entertainment. Just keep that in mind. I don't know what that means, and I don't even know what I'm trying to get at. I'm just saying I find that very interesting. Very, very interesting, guys. It is now sports entertainment. Mark Malone says this: headlocks are illegal. LOL. Let's see. But they were part of wrestling. They're illegal in wrestling? That's crazy. How can you not? Come on, that's a part of wrestling. A headlock. How about a DDT? Power bomb. John Steel Freak says this: Ryan fell in love with Derpy's boobs. It only took one look. It only took one look. Tortilla says technically Derpy wasn't hired. You just can't discriminate against kids with special needs. You guys know us way too much. You guys know us way too much. Jamal, yes, sweet chin music, dude. Now you're talking my language. I'm not so much into it anymore, but my God, these are key words in the wrestling world, baby. Lindsay says women don't say it's their fault. Twin Peaks, Derpy. John saying the Twin Peaks of Derpy. Somber, McCormick's footwork, hand placement are horrible. Hopefully the new offensive line coach can fix him. He definitely plays like a fourth rounder. He gives all the effort. He just wasn't. You're right. I think that he was overachieved by the way of his effort. And he certainly had that effort. And again, at the end of every play, the dude's jumping up and celebrating. So again, it's not lack of effort. It's more of the tools. And I agree with you, Somber. So that's going to have to be improved, of course. Steeler Freak says women don't fart either. It took me years to convince my kids because they're, mama never farts. And that's always what they hear. And you got to convince. You have to actually have to convince your kids, especially if they're boys, that women do fart. Look at Tater. See, I don't know what the hell he's smoking over in Great Britain, but listen to what Tater says, everybody. Tater says Browns will win the North next season. Book it. They say that every year, Tater. Have you not realized that? Even in England, this should be something that you could go back and do your research on. They literally say that every year, and it literally has only happened never. Even the year they finished better than us, they didn't win the division. They haven't won the division since the 80s, dude. Come on. The 80s. Tyrone, a couple more, and I have a couple more topics we're going to get into before we do get to that part of the day. Tyrone says she might, LOL, but we're just friends. Okay. Well, that makes it easier. Tyrone and his girlfriend are just friends now. I'm just kidding, dude. Friends, girlfriend, whatever. Bring her. We're going to have a great time regardless. Cody says, why are you bringing up old shit? Line, one of my favorite lines from Friday, of course. Tyrone says, Tater, no chance, my guy. Jolly says, I seen the Pirates win 2 World Series in my life. That's awesome. What'd you see? 70, 71 and 79? Both Baltimore Orioles World Series, if I'm not wrong. Cody says, Tyrone, hit her with that ghost mode. Tater says, the Stoolers, the Ratbirds, and the Bungles on a decline. Yeah, matter of fact, they're all retooling. Watch out. The Browns, good God. The Browns have been retooling since have been on decline since the 80s, dude.
They've been rebuilding since the Hoover administration.
Yeah, that's what Cody says. The Browns have been on a decline since the 60s, Joe. Let me grab 2 more, and then I'm going to get into some more stuff. You guys are awesome on the board today. Love it. Keep them coming. Again, I'm trying my best to keep up with what I can, and anything that I don't get to today, I will catch up, and I will get to it eventually, guys. Jamal says this, Skiller Freak, that's funny. They do just while they're in the kitchen cooking dinner. And finally, Tortilla says this, everyone was all calling for Highsmith for Scary Terry. Now they want to keep him. We knew he was a baller, just missed too many games. Long live Highsmith is what Jamal was saying, guys. A couple more topics we're going to get into. This is going to be things that were said by former players about Coach T. Let's get into that part of the day. Here we go. This is... I'm going to get into, these guys, you might have seen Najee's comments. We're going to get into that in just one second, what he said. But first, before I do that, I want to say something that Mike Tomlin said that kind of caught me off guard. Mike Tomlin, this was revealed by Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward said that Mike Tomlin says, quote, I'm glad I didn't beat Noel's record. What do you make of that? I was convinced that he wasn't going to leave because another win or a couple wins would have had him in the driver's seat. Mike, what do you? Let me just throw out what their records are at this point. Chuck Noll had 193 wins. I don't know. No, Noll had 209 wins. Cowher had 193 wins, and Mike Tomlin had 201 wins. So one more. He needed more playoff wins. Obviously, it was the playoffs that was the difference between Noll and Tomlin's wins at the end of the day. But why did he say that, Mike? I didn't catch the context of what was being said. All I know is I read the one quote from the article, and it says this, I'm glad I didn't beat Noel's record. And again, that was by mouth of Cam Hayward. What was meant when he said that?
I think maybe out of respect for Chuck Noll of what he did, the 4 Super Bowls, leading one of the greatest dynasties in NFL history, and like, hey, I don't want to take that away from him because my record's not up to his par, not want to be seen as a better coach than Chuck Noll.
It's kind of I don't know. I don't know. I don't like that excuse. I'm not saying I don't accept it. I'm not saying that that's not what he meant. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm glad I didn't beat Chuck Noll's record. I think that's a terrible mindset to have. And even if you're
this is coming from Cam Hayward too.
And do you think Cam Hayward made this up?
Would it surprise you?
Well, yeah, because again, these are all quotes that are coming from the last conversations with the coach. I don't know why he would come out and just make this up. But again, Coach T, by way of mouth of Cam Hayward, guys, I'm glad I didn't beat Noel's record. Again, Mike T with 201 wins, Noel with 209. The playoffs were the big difference, of course, in the two. And again, I thought Coach T would at least stick around for another year to get them wins. I was wrong. I'll admit it. But again, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Maybe I have to get in and read the article again and figure out what's going on. But again, that, guys, was interesting. Also, a couple other things here that were said by some former coaches, former players. Mike Tomlin. Ben Roethlisberger, he makes this comment, guys. He says he wouldn't draft a quarterback for 2 to 3 seasons and continues to endorse Will Howard. Not exactly Mike Tomlin worthy news, but this is something that Ben said, Mike. he wouldn't draft a quarterback for 2 to 3 more seasons, and he continues to endorse Will Howard. Mike, what is being said by Ben with that comment where he says he wouldn't draft a quarterback for 2 to 3 more seasons? Do you agree with that? Listen, I'm not against Will Howard. I'm not against giving him a try. But what exactly does Ben mean, Mike, here? And do you agree with this?
I don't agree with it. He was a 5th, 6th round pick. If there's someone out there that you evaluate better than 5th round, 6th round pick, you draft that guy. Like there's a reason that you're picked that late in the draft. You're not seen as a franchise type of guy. Yes, it worked out for Purdy. Yes, it worked out for Tom Brady. But my God, that's few and far between that happens. Like you go out, and if you find someone better, you go and get that guy. You go find out someone in free agency or a trade. You got to constantly upgrade that position.
And the other Ben comment before I do move on to another comment about Coach T by player, this one, my coach, Big Ben loves the idea of Mike McCarthy for the head coaching job in Pittsburgh. Mike, why is Ben wrong about his endorsement of Coach McCarthy becoming the coach here, a head coach? Again, some people like it. He's a Pittsburgh guy. I understand people are going to like that. But Mike, Ben also, again, says that he would like Mike McCarthy, and we wouldn't draft a quarterback for another 3 years if he was, in fact, in charge and making the decisions. Mike, again, I don't agree with Ben. I don't agree with the great quarterback of all time, the greatest quarterback of all time, in my opinion, here in Pittsburgh, numbers-wise, at least. Mike, McCarthy, head coach, Big Ben's endorsement. What do you think?
I do not like that at all. I don't know what Ben's smoking. I want some of what Ben's smoking. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't see the appeal of Mike McCarthy.
I mean, either. At one time I did. There was a time I seen great value. Matter of fact, right around 2012, when after he was leaving Green Bay, after winning that Super Bowl against us, going to Dallas, I thought, you know what? He wouldn't be a bad coach here. But you know what? He kind of Tomlin harballed into the situation that they're in. They just kind of got passed by over time, and the league has passed those 3 particular coaches by. And again, in my opinion, they're all the same coach. Let me just a moment here to pull up this last one that I'm looking for, Mike. This one is the one that I wanted to talk about, as we're talking about comments today made about Coach T. These comments were made about Coach T by his former players. This one right here is Najee Harris. Najee Harris on Marshawn Lynch's podcast yesterday says this about the conversation with Mike Tomlin before leaving. Najee Harris says this to Marshawn Lynch: "We was chopping it up for like 10, 20 minutes about some random stuff, and then we was like, all right, we got to talk about business now. And so I said, like, hey, man, what's up, though?" He said, "Najee, I always talk to you not as if you were a player, but as if you were my son." He said, he was like, "If you was my son, I would tell you not to come back to Pittsburgh. Don't come back here," is what he said. He also says, "I was like, all right, bet. It wasn't no hard feelings or nothing." And at that moment, Najee was done with the Steelers. Mike, go ahead. I know you're just chomping at the bit because go ahead.
The only thing I can think of was he knew the way the offense was gonna go, so he just decided, be straight up with him in the player exit meeting, like, hey, the offense that we might be running is not going to be fitting your style of play. I like you. I respect what you've done in the league. Let's go. You got to go somewhere else to get playing time, because it probably won't be here. Because
that's a weird thing, though, in my opinion. That's just a weird thing for a coach to tell a player. And two, the fact that Najee was, somewhat successful in his first 4 seasons. Again, every year he did reach 1,000 yards. And for a head coach that doesn't see things that look like they're going to be good enough for a player to stay, tells them to just go ahead and leave. So again, these were just some things that were brought up over the past couple of days. I certainly wanted to talk about. I don't know what to make of that entirely. But again, I think that the coach should be more optimistic than anybody talking about the teams of the future moving forward. And again, saying, we're not going to be any good. Go ahead and leave. You should be better.
No, it's not that we're not going to be any good. It's like, hey, the scheme that we're going to run, you don't fit into that scheme. You go find a team that you're going to fit into, man. We want the best for you. We want the best for.
See, until that's said, I refuse. Again, I mean, that is obviously that's a take. That's your take. And but again, until that's actually said, because that could be interpreted into 3 or 4 different things if you read it. And again, that's an interpretation. So again, until he says that, I can't say that that's what was meant. But again, I just find it a bit odd. I've never heard a player and a coach have that conversation. But I haven't heard a million players and coaches conversation, so don't go by that, guys. I do have something a lot of fun though that I do have planned for today, guys. I put this package together for Mike. You know what? Let me grab a couple more of these messages, Mike, and then I'll let you see my package. How's that sound? Let's go on the board here. I'm going to scoot up a little bit so I can just kind of stay somewhat up to date. I'm going to start right here because I see some new names. I do want to say welcome to Skeet Steelers on the Terrible Board. Welcome to the Terrible Board. Glad to have you. Welcome to the show. He says this. I think he's talking about. Okay, I'm going to go right here. If you talk ish, make sure it's based in reality, or else you just look like a dumbass. What does that refer to? I'm not sure, but I'm going to move forward to see if we can figure it out. See who Skeet is calling a dumbass. A dumbass. Skeet says, I rate him as a good corner, not the most underrated in the league with the guys out there like Gonzalez not getting enough respect. I think maybe talking about JPJ. Skeet also says Christian Gonzalez in top 3 and never gets mentioned, but JPJ underrated. Well, JPJ didn't let up a touchdown all year. You call that underrated? JPJ let up 1 touchdown in 3 years. Is that underrated? JPJ on lockdown on a lot of number 1 receivers. Is that underrated? I'm just asking. Again, you're gonna, if you want to, talk down on other people, I'll give you answers and we can have the debate right here. I'm just not getting what you're saying. So you're saying that JPJ isn't any good, or I'm just trying to understand because again, you're saying people should know what they're talking about, and if we'll talk, man. Let's talk. I'm here for it. That is why we here. Also, this Skeet Steelers says, you guys must be smoking the same stuff. Damn, them streets going bad. This, you know what I like about these know-it-alls that come in here? They literally have no answer. They always come in and they got to talk shit and throw some words around, but they literally have nothing better to say. That's when you know.
They're haters, dude.
That's when you know that they're literally trolls, because their arguments are dumb, and again, all they do is throw names around. So again, we will look at that as it comes and treat it accordingly. But I do say welcome to the Terrible Board. Let me continue on here. You two are just looking more stupid by the chat, and it's hilarious. Can you say something that makes any sense that at least makes you look smarter, Skeeter? Please? Because you look really dumb right now. Just saying. Let me move up here a little bit. Mark Malone says this: I'm not against drafting 2-3 quarterbacks every season until you find one. Little Skeeter, what's he saying here? Most pass interferences in mid the league in yards in the past 2 years. Prove me wrong, Skeeter says.
Well, they went down the last half of the year. He had less than the reigning defensive player of the year and some of the other supposed top corners in the NFL. So they have gone down.
Well, Skeeter, he claims to have all the numbers and statistics and know all the facts, but yet he doesn't realize that the numbers went down. So again, consider the source. I do have to move on, but Skeeter is. I'm not saying JPJ is trash. I'm just saying that he's not underrated. So now he's switching his tone. That's nice, Skeeter. Go after yourself. Let me move on. 10-7 record. Let's go right here. Ian Sinolte, I do want to say this to you. I do want to say welcome to the Terrible Board. Cordell is probably 10 years ahead of his time. I couldn't agree more. Cordell Stewart was ahead of his time. He would be fine today in today's game, I do believe. Let's move on here. And you two talking like this team's bad as fuck. Little you two accept mediocrity. Bro, you're dumb. Say something that makes any sense, please, before I realize you're stupid and I get you and I cut you the hell out of here. You're getting on my nerves. Jamal says this: James Harrison just pissed Mike T. Didn't want his ass. You know what? He went to New England and won the Super Bowl, though. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I've never really thought about it in that sense. Cody says that's dumb, but that sounds dumb as fuck. But Najee always been a weirdo. Jamal says, man, Mike Tomlin for life. How real is that? The conversation with Najee. Never had a coach that cared for him. You know what, Najee, again, say what you want about him, but it's still, he managed to run 1,000 yards, which isn't what you should go by nowadays since it's a 17-game season. But nobody else in that same period of time has managed to run for 1,000 yards in those 4 seasons. So again, something you have to consider. I like Najee. I didn't want Najee going anywhere. I'm going to be honest with you. That was just me personally. Tater says, and fighting in Schittsburg, not good. What does that even mean? John TC, Mike was being honest about Harris. Mike was being honest with Harris. And you know what? That's good. Being honest is definitely good. But at the end of the day, how good is that for business when the main coach is saying, well, yeah, you probably want to go somewhere else. We're not that good. That's not what I want from my head guy. In anything. Now, this job isn't really that great. Maybe you had to go over across the street and work over there at our competition. I'm just saying it doesn't seem good for business for me. But again, what do I know? Tyrone says this. We won a championship. Obviously, we ain't won a playoff game in 10 years. Cody says this. The only reason MVS wanted to be in Pittsburgh is because he thought Najee was still here. Jamal says, old Skeeter. Let's see what he says to Skeeter. I can't wait to see. He says, Skeeter, everyone who plays wants to win a Super Bowl. You sound dumb as hell. I couldn't agree more. Skeeter has been the joke of the day. Everybody, joke of the day on the terrible board. Everybody point and laugh. It's Skeeter. Let me move on. Somber says, I can't with this board today. All right, let me grab a couple more of these things because I do have something set up for you. I was looking to say, I'm starting to think that the Tard is part of Tater Tard's clan. I think that they're in cahoots because they're both talking crazy shit. All right, here we go, guys. This is what I have set up for you. It came to question earlier in the week. I agree. Listen, if you don't put respect on JPJ's name, you truly are just being a troll, and again, you make no sense. So let's continue on. Somebody doesn't let up a touchdown in a season while covering number ones most of the year. Come on, just trolling. Let's get back at it, guys. This is something that I had set up, something that came up earlier in the week. And this isn't, listen, Mike, this isn't to stab at you. I'm just putting information out there because I thought this was interesting, because I thought you might have been right. You weren't, but I went back in and I looked. Mike, I'm going to talk about, just briefly before we start wrapping it up. I have the information because Mike told me the other day, he said that the Cowher tree, the Bill Cowher coaching tree, didn't do anything. And I'm here to prove you wrong. And this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to tell you how and why that is incorrect. These coaches from the Bill Cowher coaching tree, which if you Wikipedia Bill Cowher, and I have to explain this stuff because it was splitting the apple the other day, splitting hairs. So I have to make all this known. So if you Wikipedia Bill Cowher's coaching tree, I took the players that it gave me. I'm going to tell you what they did that was successful. Of course, they all picked terrible teams to go to. You're going to see the point, but a lot of guys do go to terrible teams when they are hired for new head coaching positions. But let me prove my point before we do move on. We talked a little bit about coaching trees earlier this week. I got in a little debate. So I went and I got we go. Dom Capers, who was the 92-94 defensive coordinator under Dom Capers, 92-94 defensive coordinator under Cowher. He ended up going and becoming the very first head coach of the Carolina Panthers, the very first coach of the Carolina Panthers, which, okay, that's not that impressive, but he led the Carolina Panthers in their second season to the NFC Championship game. And Dom Capers, again, none of these coaches really did anything once they left the Cowher tree. Dom Capers, again, first year coach for the first coach ever of the Carolina Panthers in 95. He led the Carolina Panthers to the NFC Championship in his second season of the team, and he did win the AP 1996 Coach of the Year award. That's Dom Capers. Number one. Let's move on. Number two, Chan Gailey. He was 1996 to 97 was the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. He led Dallas to 2 playoff appearances in an NFL East title in 1998. Not great accomplishments, but again, for some guys, it didn't do anything when they left Pittsburgh. I'm just proving my point, guys. Again, Chan Gailey, 96-97 offensive coordinator, went on to go to make 2 playoff appearances with the Cowboys and had an NFC East title in 98. Number 3. Jim Haslett was the defensive coordinator for the Steelers in 97 to 99. He went on to only have a 45-51 record with the Saints. Not great, right around 500. I mean, 500 is a thing for you. He was also the coach of the year in 2000. Jim Haslett was coach of the year in 2000, leading his team, leading to the Saints to their first playoff win ever. Their first playoff win. Nobody ever went to the Saints and got a playoff win. Number 4, Marvin Lewis. We all remember good old Marvin. Went to Cincinnati for a while. He actually has a record tied with Coach Tomlin. Let me get to that record in just a second here. Marvin Lewis was the linebacker coach here in Pittsburgh under Cowher from 92 to 95. he went to coach the Bengals and had an overall record, guys, of 131, 122, and 3. For the Bengals, come on, 131, 122, and 3. For a Bengals coach, that's not that bad. Winningest coach in Bengals history. Went to the playoffs 5 years in a row as a Bengals coach. He does tie, though, Tomlin, with 7 straight playoff losses in a row. So the downside on him, on Marvin, was the 7 straight playoff losses in a row. He did take the team to 5 straight, though. But you can match that with the comparable Mike Tomlin there with that stat. And also, I do want to say this was he did also win Coach of the Year in 2009. That's Marvin Lewis, Coach of the Year, 2009. Let me move on. Mike Mularkey. Mike Mularkey led the Titans to an 18-14 record while he was in Tennessee. He had a 1-1 playoff record overall. He had a playoff loss. He lost the playoff games. I'm sorry. He was 1-1 in the playoffs, and he coached there from 2015 to 2017 in Tennessee. So again, 18-14 in Tennessee. He had some bad trips to a couple other teams, but again, these guys did nothing. I have to point out the things that they did do, just very important for me. And then 1-1 again in the playoffs in his career. Let me move on. Ken Wisenhunt. Ken Wisenhunt was here from 2001 to 2006. He ended up taking the Arizona Cardinals to the Super Bowl. The Cardinals to the Super Bowl, albeit it was a loss to the Steelers. You wouldn't want it any other way, right? But in his time in Arizona, Ken Wisenhunt was 45-51. Again, right around that 500 mark that we value so much here in Pittsburgh, with a 4-2 record. 4-2. That's 2 games over 500. And finally, Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians, guys, he was the offensive coordinator here in Pittsburgh. He was a positional coach, and then he moved to coordinator from 04 to 11 was his tenure in Pittsburgh, guys. Bruce Arians goes on to go 80-48-1 in his career. 80-48-1. That's a 62.7 winning percentage, a 6-3 postseason record, and won the Super Bowl LV, Tampa Bay, a Super Bowl winning coach. Of course, everyone's gonna say Tom Brady, and that's fine. That's fine. But I am going to just note that Bruce Arians was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl winning team back 5 years ago. And he also did win that Coach of the Year twice. One time when he became the intern coach with the Colts in 2012, he finished that season 9-3. And then again with the Cardinals in 2014. And of course, you've seen how that played out when he was with the Cardinals, guys. Every team he coached, he took to the playoffs. And then there's a couple other guys, of course, Dick LeBeau. These guys should have been state coordinators, and he had a terrible time in Cincinnati. And then finally, Donald Culley went to Houston and had a tough time. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to prove my point. Cowher's coaching tree wasn't shit. They did manage to go on and do a lot of things. As a matter of fact, they became Coach of the Year. And I know exactly where it's going to go, but I just want to say one more time, all these Coach of the Year awards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, between these guys, the great Coach T wasn't Coach of the Year once. Mike, over to you.
Yeah, a lot of these coaches got started under other coaches, then were promoted or then hired into
Mike, that doesn't mean that's not what a coaching tree is. A coaching tree is guys that coach underneath of you. Guys that coach underneath you.
So those coaches, they count under the other coaches that they
again. It's the splitting hairs thing with you, Mike. Here's the thing: these guys aren't picking coaches out of the air and saying, "Well, this is my team, this is my tree." Oh, wait, I have to get this guy. These are people that coach football games. They coach football. Yes, they coach other places before. These are people that coach under certain head coaches and go on to become head coaches. Is what the conversation's about. All these guys that are in trees don't come out of trees. They are actually coaches, Mike. They coach places. And again, if they're on your staff and they become a head coach, that's the conversation, obviously. All right, let me jump back on the board here as we do move along. It is roughly we're rounding third. We are rounding third on the day, but again, I did want to get out there because I was under the impression that they did nothing, but they did a lot actually compared to a lot of other coaching trees in the past, guys. We could bring that up more again tomorrow. We'll get into it. I don't want to spend all episode on it, but I do have a lot more information if you would like to talk about that more moving forward. Also, Where'd it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? I don't know. Let me get back on the board again. I don't want to miss a lot here, guys. I know that I'm going to miss some, but I will definitely read all these messages at some point today. I promise you that. Let me just start at the very top. I'm going to kind of jump around here. Somber says good coaches never came to coach for Tomlin because they weren't allowed to do their job. Let's just be honest. I always thought the rumor was, and again, this is a rumor. Don't hang me for this. But the rumor was that Coach Tomlin didn't want to hire great coaches because he didn't want their job. He didn't want his job to be at. I've never heard him say it, but if you watch the pattern of the coaches he hired, they were all on the cheap end, and maybe we're just cheap. Maybe that's what it is. But we continue to pay some guys a lot of money, like Coach T and other guys, but some guys very, very cheap. Mike, go ahead.
You see a sharp decline from when Dan Rooney was chairman, and of the amount of money that was spent on assistant coaches to when Art took over.
Tortilla says can't be under one guy's tree 1 year, and now I'm saying is go to Wikipedia, go to Google, and type in Bill Cowher's coaching tree. That's all. And Wikipedia, I took those names. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't twist, turn. I grabbed the coaching tree names that Wikipedia gave me. I looked up their results as they became head coaches, and that's what I went with. So anything beyond that, I welcome you to do your own research, but that is what I got. TC said this, Dungy and Tomlin both won Super Bowls. They sure did. Dungy, one of Chuck Noll's people. I guess he did coach under him briefly, didn't he? Jamal says we were cheap. Also, Somber said we did get that. Tortilla sounds like coaching trees are more effective in college. It just depends on the argument. It depends on the conversation and who you're talking to. Some people will tell you how great some of these coaching trees are, and again, it's just the facts is the facts. They did well, and that was the point I was trying to make. It wasn't a bust. That was the point I was making. Cody says this Tallman got Terrell Austin and Matt Canada. But you know what? On the bright side of things, Arthur Smith could be, well, you know what? He's trending toward being a coordinator again. But you know what? That could be Coach T's first coaching tree head. And that's the thing. It's not even his guys did it and they didn't do well. He had none in 20 years. That's the point. That's the problem. That's the point I'm trying to make. And if you're trying to justify that, I really think you're pulling straws here, guys, because again, at the end of the day, to have zero, something ain't right about that with me. I don't know. Call me again. Call me crazy. Let me move down a little bit here, see what's going on the board again. Code Cower has Antoine Randall L, Hines Ward, Dick LeBeau. Somber calls him an idiot. TC Dom Capers came from Green Bay, thought. Also, Black Magic Jamal says, no way. That's too. Okay, so I think I'm right around where we were when I did get into that because I'm starting to recognize comments here. Tortilla says, I don't know, man. Not totally true. Gainwell was signed on a veteran minimum before we drafted Caleb. And Tomlin basically said he signed him because of how he played against us. And that's what you said too, Mike. You said it was his performance basically. And the thing was, that was what it was. He didn't do great in Philadelphia. He had a great game against us, as did most of the people on that Philadelphia squad did in that particular game. And getting a good look, getting a firsthand look sometimes goes a long way. As you did say, Mike, it was based off of, I think, of how he played us.
Yeah, that was the big thing right there. Like everyone was like so surprised with Kenny Gainwell in that Philly game, and they're like, we got to get this guy. We got to bring him in.
Corey said he just looked at the NFL app and it said Anthony Weaver is going to have a second in-person interview. I know he's coming in Friday. I didn't know that he had a first, to be honest with you. As far as in-people interviews, I do know that Brian Flores was in yesterday. Mike McCarthy is scheduled to be in today. And I know that Anthony Weaver is due to be in Friday. If it says it's his second, then it must be his second. I don't know. As far as I know, that he will be Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, will be into interview for a personal interview on Friday. That is coming down the pike also this week, guys, as we are continuing to bring guys in, wait things out, trying to figure out what we're going to do with this coaching staff moving forward. Tyrone says we got a clean house, man. We got a clean house. That's just where it'd be. Somber says we had Flores in the building at one point. We did have Flores in, and that's why they didn't have to do the virtual interview. Him and McCarthy, because they were familiar with the team and things like this, they just went straight to personal interviews for those two particular coaches, candidates. Jamal says this, teamwork make the dream work. Teamwork make the dream work. I like it. Yeah, I'm gonna grab a couple here more, Mike, and we are gonna start getting ready to wrap things up for today. I think that's the time of day, unfortunately. Grab a couple more. Where did that one retard go? Where did that retarded dude? What was his name? Who's the guy that was in here a little bit ago talking shit?
What was it? Skeeter Peter?
Skeeter Peter. Where the hell did Skeeter Peter go? Skeeter Peter and Tater Tot. Gotta love him. Let me grab a couple more. Good thing there will be a quarterback competition, and we'll see if Will wins the spot. Who's in favor of Will? Before we wrap it up for today, let me know on the board here, guys. Who wants to see Will Howard get that shot, that legitimate shot, to possibly be the number one? Of course, other options are, again, maybe look around the league at free agents, and as some of the ones we missed out on last year went and had successful seasons under other teams. You look at those. Do you seriously consider a free agent? Is Will Howard the guy? Is that just the way this is going? Again, it's going to be difficult to know because new coach comes in. We don't know what they're going to want to do. Tortilla says, "Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see what Will got." And the thing is, I want to see what he got too. And it's unfortunate we never got a chance to see. But do you guys think that Will Howard can possibly be QB1 this year? Somber says in favor of giving him a chance. Like Tyrone says, I ran him off. Don't ever bring up 24. Good. Skeeter Peter. He was stupid as hell. He was
Skeeter brought some entertainment value.
Yeah, he did. Tortilla says, I don't want McCarthy either, but he's certainly not going anywhere near the worst option. Who's more appealing? Is the Steeler job? It's long tenuredness. The Raven job with your MVP quarterback. Buffalo with your quarterback. If you're a coach, where do you want to go, Mike? Let's say you're one of these guys still playing in this weekend, and you turn around and say, all right, it's time to talk serious. Where would I like to go play? Buffalo got a quarterback. Baltimore got a quarterback. Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot of things they have to fix. Who do you, if you're a person of value, and you know the people who are out to get you, and they're going to pay you more money depending on what you want to, where you go, which one of those three teams, Mike, not just as a Steeler fan, just being a person, just being realistic, which one of those teams appeal to you most if you were a head coach looking to join, be a head coach of a team? And those are three pretty intriguing offers. I mean, the Steelers, the Bills, and the Ravens are three pretty good franchises for the most part. Where do you go? Where's the decision? Where does it take you if you were a head coach making a choice between those three, Mike?
I'm going. Ooh, that is a tough one.
It's tough.
I am going Baltimore.
And why is that?
To me, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are the same player, but I think they have better weapons in the pass game on their team. I like their receivers more. Tight ends, I think, are about even. Running back, I give an edge to Buffalo, but I'm taking Baltimore.
Baltimore be the team you would pick. Interesting.
Because you don't have like a New England Patriots to contend with now in Baltimore. If you want to say like if Pittsburgh's having a bad year, since he might not be the team that everyone thought they were going to be with Joe Burrow not knowing it, you might have a better chance of winning the division here than elsewhere.
You want to know where my opinion lies with this? Between those two teams and the point that you make with the quarterbacks, to me, it seems that Lamar has always kind of been handcuffed in a sense. Where Josh Allen, to me, reads the plays and he makes plays accordingly. To where Lamar, well, we don't want you to run as much. You're not, you're this, that. Let's pass a little bit more. He's always kind of being told what to do. And that I don't like about Lamar. Yes, these are good things. These are things that should be done within. But I think that it stands out. And we never have any problems facing off against Lamar Jackson. On the other hand, Josh Allen kind of goes out there and he goes by the seat of his pants, and you see that he reads things and he makes things happen. And it's a team that we have never had a chance against in regular season or postseason in the playoffs against Josh Allen. So if you're going by quarterback alone, as you were saying, I'm leaning towards Buffalo. Because again, it never seems that Lamar really broke out on his own. It never really seems that he was able to go out and just take over, and he had the tools between the guy's speed and the arm strength. He doesn't, TC. He doesn't read defenses that well, and he never has. And again, his record against us, opposed to Josh Allen's record against us, I think says something as well. So between those two, I lean toward Buffalo for that reason. However, with that being said, I would choose the Pittsburgh Steelers because I think that is the best opportunity for you to become a great coach. And for this reason and this reason, because they're at a point now to where up is really the only way the Steelers are going to accept at this point. Yes, you may fall back. You might have a little ebbs and flows, of course, just like you should. But at the end of the day, there's so much more at stake for making this team better than those other two teams. Those two teams kind of come off as failures in a sense because they have those two guys. They have a Allen and a Lamar, and they continue to choke over and over and over. Why jump into that and maybe continue that when you could join a team like the Steelers, create your own? This thing, again, it's going to go up. It's never going to stay down for come on, look at 60 years of history is going to tell you. Different people. Steelers always find ways to win football games. I like the Steelers job. I think it has the longest tenured possibility, this job security. I like that if I'm a head coach. And again, you're a part of something special in the Steeler organization, as Coach T was, whether fans liked them, didn't like them, whatever. I think, in my opinion, the Pittsburgh Steelers has always been and always will be the most attractive job for me. Not just because I'm a Steeler fan, but if I'm looking at those three teams, I take the Steelers, and for those reasons, I take those. I just looked at some, that's the direction I'm going. Again, I totally understand what you're saying, and you make a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at already existing pieces, you're going to be here a lot longer than these pieces are if you're the head coach. At least you're hoping that you are. So I'm not basing everything that I have on the good things that are going on in those two teams right now. Because again, at the end of the day, how much more does Lamar got with his injury issues? And the guy, his back was hurt so bad, he had to miss a game late in the season when they needed to win. To me, that's not good signs. So for the pluses that teams have at the exact moment, that's not why I'm making my decision. I got to look at the bigger picture. I take the Pittsburgh Steelers ultimately, turn this thing around, get back to winning Super Bowls. Again, every single Steeler coach in the Super Bowl era has won a Super Bowl, at least one Super Bowl. Sorry. I want to be a part of that. I want to be here for a long time. I want this to be my team, and we're going to go up together. That's why I picked the Steelers. Nothing wrong with picking the Ravens. Nothing wrong with picking the Bills, but that's why I did ask the question. All right, let's get ready to wrap things up, Mike, as it is that time. I do want to scoot up a little bit here. I'm going to grab a couple of these top comments just at the top of the page. TC says, depends on Baltimore gets as a head coach. Tortilla says, because even though we're garbage, we're still 10 wins. And that's the thing, that Ravens team, they just can't get over the hump of the Steelers. You know what I mean? No matter what they got going on, we could be the worst offense in the league, which we've been, and one of the most overrated defenses in the league, which we've been. And that Ravens team still lost to us 10 out of 12 games. 10 out of the last 12 games. I don't know. They're built to be like us. We're not built to be like them. Tortilla says, Cody says, shit, that let Tomlin keep Canada for how long? And he was garbage. Cody says, this Pittsburgh is attractive because ownership lets the coach do whatever they want. End of Days says this. What's up, End of Days? Always great seeing End of Days on a terrible board. End of Days says this. Buffalo will be losers for a decade. They've been losers for decades. Why would that change, right? You couldn't get a win 4 years in a row in a Super Bowl with the team that you had in the early 90s. Maybe they're never going to get it. TC says, I agree. They held Lamar. Absolutely, they did. Abso-friggin-lutely. The one thing that could have made him possibly that MVP player that they claim that he is are the things that they kind of held him back from doing. Being a college quarterback, I guess it would be best described as, because you don't want your players being that college quarterback in the pros. You want them being a pro quarterback, but it kind of hurt Lamar in a way. I think. Don't drink that. Corey says Baltimore is the dream job right now. I have a very depth reason for a coach like McCarthy that should be the destination for him. Tortilla says Buffalo ain't going anywhere. Somber says Buffalo, Baltimore, if you want to win now, or Steelers, Raiders if you want a clean slate. And I agree. And you're not even guaranteed to get the win now because, again, these guys continue to choke, and that's why their coaches got fired. So we will see. We'll continue to follow. We'll see if the new coaches come in and make these players what they're made out to be, or the players prove that they just aren't going to get it done. A couple more here. Let's see right here. And I don't know if I read this one, but I think this kind of falls under something we were saying. Sommer says Tomlin's loves signing players who played well against him. It's almost like he wages talent against his shit defense. Sorry, it seems like I'm bagging on Tomlin. I'm not, just trying to be real. But I agree with you. We've done that in the past. And you know what? You know why we love A.J. Brown? It's because he scored 15 touchdowns against us the last time we played him. It's just kind of a Pittsburgh thing. You get somebody that kills you, you would love to have them. I don't know. It's always been that way as far as I've seen. But if somebody has a great game against Pittsburgh, the Steeler fans, Steeler Nation certainly would like to get their hands on them. Maybe one more. Let me go up to the top. I'll get one more, Mike, and we are going to get into the trivia of the day because that is where we're at. Right here, no matter Jamal says Baltimore's a dream job, honestly, but John for $100 million in New York was probably the best deal. He's nothing to lose. And then TC says this: just think if Dart gets hurt, who's not? That's another thing. It's just the organization isn't a fantastic organization. They're real spotty. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Giants in the Super Bowl in the next 5 years, just because they do that. They were there in 80, 88, then again in 90, and then again in 2000. And then again in 2007, and then again in 2011. So they're real spotty, almost like the Florida Marlins are in a sense. They pop out of nowhere, they win a championship, and then they disappear back into what it is that the Giants generally are. And again, for those reasons, I think that Harbaugh and company might be able to win something up there because, again, for whatever reason, every so often this Giants team does pop up and win very unlikely games. They lost to the Ravens in 2000, but the rest they won. Of course, the two Super Bowl wins over the Patriots via Eli Manning and company, and then Jeff Hostetler in the 90s, and then Phil Simms in the 80s. They always seem to find a way to get a team into the Super Bowl eventually. Just not a great franchise, though. So do what you want with that. Guys, it is time. Mike, why don't you go and tell everybody about the website? We'll get into this trivia for the day, huh?
The2dumyinzers.com. Go check it out, everyone. We got the merch store. We got everything you need, the links to all of our social media. The2dumyinzers.com.
All right, go check it out, everybody. www.the2dumyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumyinzers.com. Go check it out. A lot of cool things over there, as Mike said. He do have his dumb thoughts. You have the links to all of the shows that we've ever done, all 894 of them. There is contact information. And again, if you do like the fist logo, the brand logo that we do have, there is a lot of things over there with the fist logo on it. Go check it out at www.the2dumyinzers.com. All right, guys, time for trivia time. Let's get into it. Mike, put on your thinking caps. Everybody on the board, TC, you are not mistaken. Harbaugh does have a lot of work to do in New York. I couldn't agree more. But they do have things going in their favor. I can acknowledge that as well. They got some nice young talent in these the receiver, the running back that got hurt, their quarterback. They have nice pieces in place. So let's see how long that he can make them competitive, or if he even can. All right, guys, time to get into it. It is time. It is time for the trivia of the day. Put on that thinking cap, guys. Here we go. Question of the day. Here we go. How many times have the Steelers won a championship the same year as another pro Pittsburgh team? I kind of brought this up throughout the show today in a different kind of way, talking about the Pirates and all their success back in the day. Of course, we have the Penguins, the Steelers. Guys, the trivia question of the day is this: how many times have the Steelers won the championship the same year as another pro Pittsburgh sports team? Take a minute to think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 1:32 o'clock p.m. every day, right here on the tube.
On tube.
All right, guys, question of the day. Throw your answer up there. Throw your guesses up there. If you don't know, how many times? It's just a number. That's all. Tortilla's saying 2. He threw a 2 up on the board. The question of the day is this: how many times have the Steelers won the championship the same year as another pro Pittsburgh team? Take a minute, guys. Think it over. Tortilla's saying 2. Tyrone is saying 1 possibly. He says, I don't even know. Mike, what's the thought process? What are you thinking on this? How many do you think? And
I know we did it with the Penguins. I know we did it with the Buccos. I'm gonna go twice.
all right. Any years on those?
I don't know the years.
Okay. Corey says we won a Super Bowl 43, and I think that year the Pens won a Stanley Cup. I don't know. I could be wrong. That's what he was saying. I'll give you another minute, guys. The question of the day is this: how many times have the Steelers won the championship the same year as another pro Pittsburgh sports team? And guys, Mike says 2. Mike says 2. The Pirates and the Penguins. Also, Tyrone says 1
Guys.
possibly.
In the garage.
Go ahead.
Work call. Sorry.
All right. Well, yeah, kill your mic while you're talking to work. And Tortilla.
I thought I had it worked. I'm sorry.
Tortilla says 2. Corey says 1. Just take another second, guys. Throw it up if you think you know it. How many times has the Steelers won the championship the same year as the another Pittsburgh team? Mike says 2. TC says 2, 1979 and 2009. Anybody else has any guesses or think you know it? Do throw it up there on the terrible board, and we will reveal the answer shortly. While we were waiting on that, guys, I do want to say a couple things here. As you are getting ready to head into championship weekend, guys, the college football is done. We're down to the last 3 games of your NFL season. But if you are trying to have a little bit of fun and enjoy the games, be sure to stop at Giant Eagle or any other beer distributors in the area and get yourself some Duquesne Pilsner. Get yourself a case. You can get 12 packs of Giant Eagle now readily available and moving their way to Texas, as I've seen, guys, that Duquesne Pilsner. The people at Duquesne Pilsner certainly do their best to keep us involved in a lot of their promotions, and we are greatly appreciated. So in turn, we just ask to either go grab yourself some Duquesne Pilsner or just swing by and like any of their like or follow any of their social media pages. I'm sure they'll love that. Again, Pittsburgh Duquesne Pilsner, everybody, made right here in Pittsburgh. It says right on the can, grab a Duke. So make sure to do that, guys. It is now available in Giant Eagle. All right, question of the day. So we have some 2s, some 1s, some 2s, some 1s. Question is, how many times did the Steelers won the championship the same year that another professional sports team did in Pittsburgh? And I see the right answer. And I see incorrect answers as well. Guys, the correct answer is TC saying Steelers won Super Bowl and Penguins won the Stanley Cup. TC is saying that in 1979, the Pirates won the World Series and the Steelers won the Super Bowl. And he's also saying in 2009, the Penguins won the Stanley Cup and the Steelers won the Super Bowl. And that is correct. 2 times. 2 times were they the city of champions, where multiple teams from Pittsburgh wins the big championship, guys. That is correct. Verbatim. 2 times, 1979, 2009. That is the correct answer. Great job, guys. Great job. Mike, couple things here before we do wrap it up, bro. I'm going to say this. I want to say, if you haven't had a chance, go check out any of our social media, guys. We are everywhere. If you're on Facebook a lot, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Threads, even TikTok, if you spend a lot of time over there, swing by and just hit the follow button. Check us out. Keep up with what the 2 Dum Yinzers are up to on a day-to-day basis. Also, if you haven't had a chance yet, do hit the like button down below. Hit the like, the sub, the share, or even the comment, if you will. It all helps us out in the algorithms, and we appreciate it greatly. Thank you. Mike, anything before we do get ready to start wrapping things up for today?
I don't got a whole lot, man. It's just wild that, Steelers, Penguins, Steelers, Pirates have won championships together. When are the Buccos going to get back into this? I can't wait to see who our next head coach is going to be. I'm ready for this offseason, bro. I don't know about you, but I'm geeked for it.
I know that the Pirates, they brought in about 3 or 4 different bats. I think that they might be winning a few more games this year. I think they might be fun to follow. I think with the pitching staff they had, they were just missing some bats. And you know what? I think they got 3 or 4 guys this offseason. Keep an eye on those Buccos. Also, the Penguins trying to get back at it. My question is, which one of these 3 teams will win a playoff game first, a playoff round? Penguins hasn't gotten out of the first round in 3 seasons. Buccos hasn't been out of the first round opportunity in baseball since 2015, and the Steelers against since 2017. Which one of these Pittsburgh teams will be the first team to advance in the playoffs? That's the big question. Pirates, Buccos, Steelers. This might be one of the biggest slumps in the history of the 3 teams together here in Pittsburgh. I don't know if it is, but it could very well be, as all 3 of these teams have not advanced in the playoffs in quite a few years. And it's time. It is time. I don't know who's going to do it. I hope they all do it. But at the end of the day, it's time, guys. Somebody got to shit or get off the pot. And in my opinion, like it's time to shit.
It is time to shit. And what should be the Buccos? Get the first one.
You know what? They're the first. You know what? The Penguins will have the first opportunity from this point out.
Yeah.
Corey's saying that he says Penguins will go first, Steelers, and our new coaches in the second season. But you know what? The Pirates, again, this might be a different team this year. And a lot of people are going to say, you know what? You say that every year. So I'll wait till midsummer to start really getting on that grind. But I think all three of these teams have a good chance their next season to advance in the first round. I do, especially Steelers' new start. A big win in the first round could be huge. Pirates building and adding to that team. And the Penguins way do, Mike, especially with Sidney Crosby at the top of a lot of statistics. I could see the Penguins possibly as well. So one of these teams, I refuse to believe that all three of these teams will not go. There won't be a winner that advances in the first round of the playoffs. I refuse to believe, Mike, that we're going to go through a whole other cycle without seeing a win. What do you think?
So do I. It has to end, right? The Riverhounds can't be the only one to do anything.
And the Riverhounds are winning championships. So there you go. I do want to go grab a couple things here real quick. I'm going to grab my man TC. Says, as far as Quip, I lost. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I know they went to Three River Stadium. It was, what was it, like 12, 13 years in a row or something crazy like that for the Whitfield Championship. Quip's always in there, guys. Quip might be able to beat some bad NFL teams. I'm just saying. A couple more here before we roll. Let's see. End of days. Who do the Steelers sign as head coach? I say it's one of these last four. One of these four names, and I'm not counting the other names out of being coordinators. Flores, Schulhaus, Shula, McCarthy. I don't think McCarthy is going to be the head coach, but I do think that it's very possible to keep him around as a coordinator position. Those four guys, I think it comes down to, yes, we have Weaver coming in. You had Hafley went somewhere. You had Stefanski went to Atlanta. You had Harbaugh go to New York. Right now, I'm down to those four guys. And as I said, it doesn't rule out the other guys as far as being hired and brought in as well. So at this point, at this moment, again, we still have a ways to go because we at least have until the Rams are knocked out of the playoffs or win a Super Bowl. So at this point, on 1/21/26, it's going to be one of those four guys will be the new Steelers head coach. Mike, who is going to be the new Steelers head coach before we roll?
Shula.
That seems to be the favorite. That seems to be the favorite.
Yeah.
Tyrone's saying that as well. I'm not willing to. I'm not willing to say yet, but I agree that I acknowledge that he seems like the favorite. He seems like he's a front runner, but I do say that it's going to come down to those four guys. And again, it could be multiple of those four guys that do come here. That's my take, guys. We do have to wait it out to see what goes on with these Rams. Mike McDaniel. You know what? I don't know if that happened since this morning, Corey, because I do know that Mike McDaniel turned around and called the McDaniel. They're saying on the board went to the Chargers. Okay, good. And that's actually a good move for them and him. But you know what? He was on his way. He had a meeting in Cleveland today, and he called them and said that he was no longer interested in being in their coaching search. So there you go. There you go, Tortilla. A Bella Danger. That is my pick. I pick Bella Danger. Of course, if you watched the college football game the other night, you probably picked up on who she was if you didn't know. And here we go. It's on like Donkey Kong. Mike McDaniel hired as the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. Very, very interesting, guys, as this race for head coaches just continues to move on. Again, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, all sitting here right now, still looking for head coaches. So we'll get into all this and so much more tomorrow. We'll be back at our regular time to do it all over again. We hope to see everybody then. I do want to say this before we do leave, though. I want to say thank you for everybody for coming and hanging out with us, checking us out. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly do. We wouldn't do it without you guys. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you, everybody on the board. You guys are the lifeblood of the show. Guys, always keep things interesting here on the show, and everybody at home, whether you're listening, watching, at your work, you're at the gym, wherever the case may be. Thank you to everybody. And again, we'll be back tomorrow at our first time to do it all over again. What about this, guys? Does anybody take one of these teams and maybe take on the Joe Burrow? And I know that why I'm doing that, I'm kind of basically saying the Steelers because Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Is it possible, Mike, that the Steelers do dip their toe in maybe a better, higher quality tier quarterback? Or do you think that we're going to stay on track here, see what Will Howard has, maybe draft somebody Because again, we passed up on a few last year that had pretty good seasons this year that could have done well for us. Is there any chance the Steelers goes out and get a free agent, Mike, of anybody, Joe Burrow, and anybody that would be considered a better quarterback in the league?
No, because there's not many. I don't think there's any really good quarterbacks hitting free agency. They have to make a big splash trade, and I don't see that happening.
Well, the ones that were last year, we were saying, well, this guy isn't good. He ended up getting another 14-win season. So it's tough to say, but I know what you're saying. And you know what? That's a safe answer, and that's probably the best way to go at this point. But, guys, we'll be back tomorrow to do it so much more. Come on, tomorrow's Thursday, and there's still so much going on with the Steelers. We're going to be following all these interviews, in-house interviews, virtual interviews in between, interviews behind the dumpster. Anywhere there's interviews, we're keeping our eye out, and we're following them. We're going to keep figure out who the hell is this next Pittsburgh Steelers head coach is going to be. But we will be back tomorrow at our regular time to do it all over again. We hope to see everybody then. Mike, anything else before we take off, dude?
Have a great day, everyone. This has been a blast.
Couple real quick. Just because I know that we've been seeing this. Mac Jones, Tortilla is saying Will Howard, TC is saying Willis or nothing. Also, Tyrone is saying. So I mean, there are some. It's going to be interesting. This is not going to not be interesting, guys. This may be one of the biggest, most interesting and fun off season, certainly in my life, guys. As far as the Pittsburgh Steelers goes, so stick around. It's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot to get into. And again, it's not even draft season yet, guys. Draft coming here to Pittsburgh in April. We're going to be heading down to there and so much more. Again, we'll be back tomorrow at our regular time to do it all over again. We hope to see everybody then. Thank you, Miss Pittsburgh. That's right. Here we go, Steeler Nation, baby. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a great hump day. And do your thing, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you back first thing tomorrow. Bye-bye.